Be first, don't trust anyone. What? Don't trust, stay strong, don't go wrong. Think twice, think twice. I take it slow, high and low is the way of your life. Fight for your day, for your faith, and shout, yeah, yeah. Be first, don't trust anyone. What? Don't trust, stay strong, don't go wrong. Think twice, think twice. I take it slow, high and low is the way of your life. Fight for your day, for your faith, and shout, yeah, yeah.
Welcome to Social International University.
Al finalizar la pandemia regresaremos a un mundo muy distinto. Estás a tiempo para desarrollar tu nuevo negocio y tus nuevas habilidades para incorporarte al mundo 4.0.
One day, I'll be a big boy. I'll be a big boy. Be a big boy. La 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 la. One day, I'll be a big boy. Be a big boy. Be a big boy.
Welcome to Social International University.
trust anyone. What? Don't trust. Stay strong. Don't go wrong. Think twice. Think twice. I take it slow. I am low. Is the way of your life. Fight for your day, for your faith, and shout, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Be first, don't trust anyone. What? Don't trust. Stay strong. Don't go wrong. Think twice. Think twice. I take it slow. I am low. Is the way of your life. Fight for your day, for your faith, and shout, yeah, yeah.
Welcome to Social International University.
Al finalizar la pandemia regresaremos a un mundo muy distinto. Estás a tiempo para desarrollar tu nuevo negocio y tus nuevas habilidades para incorporarte al mundo 4.0.
One day, I'll be a big, big boy. I'll be a big, big boy. Be a big, big boy. La 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 la. One day, I'll be a big, big boy. Be a big, big boy. Be a big, big boy.
Welcome to Social International University.
trust anyone. What? Don't trust. Stay strong. Don't go wrong. Think twice. Think twice. I take it slow. I am low. Is the way of your life. Fight for your day, for your faith, and shout, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Be first, don't trust anyone. What? Don't trust. Stay strong. Don't go wrong. Think twice. Think twice. I take it slow. I am low. Is the way of your life. Fight for your day, for your faith, and shout, yeah, yeah.
Welcome to Social International University.
Al finalizar la pandemia regresaremos a un mundo muy distinto. Estás a tiempo para desarrollar tu nuevo negocio y tus nuevas habilidades para incorporarte al mundo 4.0.
One day, I'll be a big boy. I'll be a big boy. Be a big boy. La 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 la. One day, I'll be a big boy. Be a big boy. Be a big boy.
Welcome to Social International University.
Be first, don't trust anyone. What? Don't trust, stay strong, don't go wrong. Think twice, think twice. I take it slow, high and low is the way of your life. Fight for your day, for your faith, and shout, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Be first, don't trust anyone. What? Don't trust, stay strong, don't go wrong. Think twice, think twice. I take it slow, high and low is the way of your life. Fight for your day, for your faith, and shout, yeah, yeah.
Welcome to Social International University.
Al finalizar la pandemia regresaremos a un mundo muy distinto. Estás a tiempo para desarrollar tu nuevo negocio y tus nuevas habilidades para incorporarte al mundo 4.0.
One day, I'll be a big, big boy. I'll be a big, big boy. Be a big, big boy. La 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 la. One day, I'll be a big, big boy. Be a big, big boy. Be a big, big boy.
Welcome to Social International University.
trust anyone. What? Don't trust. Stay strong. Don't go wrong. Think twice. Think twice. I take it slow. I am low. Is the way of your life. Fight for your day, for your faith, and shout, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Be first, don't trust anyone. What? Don't trust. Stay strong. Don't go wrong. Think twice. Think twice. I take it slow. I am low. Is the way of your life. Fight for your day, for your faith, and shout, yeah, yeah.
Welcome to Social International University.
Al finalizar la pandemia regresaremos a un mundo muy distinto. Estás a tiempo para desarrollar tu nuevo negocio y tus nuevas habilidades para incorporarte al mundo 4.0.
One day, I'll be a big boy. I'll be a big boy. Be a big boy. La 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 la. One day, I'll be a big boy. Be a big boy. Be a big boy.
Welcome to Social International University.
trust anyone. What? Don't trust. Stay strong. Don't go wrong. Think twice. Think twice. I take it slow. I am low. Is the way of your life. Fight for your day, for your faith, and shout.
Supported facility location selection. Los gobiernos de todas partes del mundo aplicaron una política expansiva del gasto público.
Greetings from Cohiba, Naga.
Warm greetings from Nepal.
Mon nom est Juliana Fumagalli. Je suis la mairesse de Villeray-Saint-Michel Parc Extension.
Soy Estefanía Laterza, directora nacional de la Red de Exportaciones e Inversiones del Paraguay.
Soy Natalia Stipe, presidente de Jueves.
Je suis Imelmarie Louis-Gasti, titulaire d'un doctorat en études cinématographiques et audiovisuelles à l'Université d'Umera et Toulouse en France.
Y el impacto de la cuarta revolución industrial que no ha hecho más que acelerarse en estos últimos tiempos.
My name is Giep Hagort, Emeritus Professor Art and Economics at the Utrecht University and the Utrecht School of the Arts in the Netherlands.
As the Ambassador of Sri Lanka to China, it gives me great pleasure to speak at this seminal event on the digital economy by video.
La Federación Internacional de Asociaciones de Multimedia empezó en el año 98 y la idea con el desarrollo de lo digital, del multimedia, apoyar a la innovación con valores de la humanidad.
Hola, mi nombre es Trinidad Saldívar, soy la jefa de la Unidad de Creatividad y Cultura del Banco Interamericano de Desarrollo.
Que como presidente de la Asociación de las Televisiones Educativas y Culturales Iberoamericanas.
Soy vicepresidenta de la Agencia Conectividad Córdoba.
Greetings from New Delhi, India.
Yo soy la presidenta y fundadora de OZK.
En nuestra condición de Dirección Ejecutiva Asociada del Instituto Sur-Sur de Industrias Creativas Digitales.
Soy el CEO de una startup llamada True.
AI and blockchain as opportunities for diversity.
Trabajo en el área de blockchain
como lo es la inteligencia artificial y su impacto concreto en las cuestiones de género.
Para evitar un contexto que, si no es bien diagnosticado, agregará más pobreza y desigualdad.
Y ahora me expreso a través del criptoarte.
I'm Edna dos Santos Duisenberg.
I am a public communications coach and advisor.
I'm an engineer and I work in the public sector.
Soy Marares de Buenos Aires, Argentina, y en este fórum voy a hablar de gamification.
Soy Juan José Sánchez Balaguer, doctor por la Universidad Miguel Hernández.
Hacia una sociedad de la imaginación y de la creatividad.
Mi nombre es Ricardo Alfarra, soy compositor, educador.
Soy profesor de la Universidad de La Habana.
Hola, soy Andrés Grimicou, licenciado en Gestión Cultural de Argentina.
Sobre los mundos de los esports.
Debemos formarnos en las nuevas herramientas.
Desde acá, desde Paraguay.
El progreso tecnológico es inevitable.
El aprendizaje en línea ha experimentado un importante crecimiento.
No compraba en línea, su experiencia de compra era nula.
Me desempeño como investigador, como consultor, como formador docente.
Y muy vinculado a lo que serían temas de desarrollo territorial.
Mi nombre es Alex Paredes Lazo, soy de Santiago de Chile.
Soy cineasta argentino-canadiense.
What the global communication system is like.
Y soy abogada de la Universidad del Rosario.
Que sea más inclusivo. El sector audiovisual en la época post-COVID.
Reconocemos que la globalización de la economía demanda nuevas competencias y nuevos conceptos.
El cine boliviano en la última década ha tomado temáticas diversas.
Soy la directora de la oficina regional de la OEI.
And in this case, a complete transformational change in the economy. This is where we stand today.
Quiero compartirles que mis áreas de especialización, doctorado y postdoctorado son en ciencias de la educación.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Mi nombre es Richard Zubertu, productor, guionista, director y cofundador de Objetivo Family Films en España.
Después de haber vivido 15 años entre México y Colombia como hotelera y productora audiovisual y de servicios.
Amados, muy feliz de estar acá. Mi nombre es Ángela Machado Rocha.
Represento el tanque de pensamiento. Se piensa.
Abela, soy arquitecto, egresado de la Facultad de Arquitectura y Urbanismo de la Universidad Nacional de Córdoba.
A través de la pantalla, de modo virtual. Pero será, sin ningún lugar a dudas, una nueva oportunidad para volcar nuestras experiencias, nuestra mirada y nuestras expectativas de esta cuarta revolución industrial.
Este evento llega a usted gracias al apoyo de FIAM, Federación Internacional de Asociaciones de Multimedia, Instituto Global Sur de Industrias Creativas Digitales,
Social International University, study, anytime, anywhere. CUX Empowering the New World. Embassy of Canada in Argentina and Paraguay. Women International University.
Fundglobe, Fundación Global Democracia y Desarrollo.
Buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches, según el lugar del mundo en donde se encuentren. Quiero darles la bienvenida al Foro Mundial 4.0 en la edición 2022. El Foro Mundial es un espacio para compartir experiencias y proyectos vinculados al paradigma de la cuarta revolución industrial. En el año 2020 el evento se centró obviamente en la pandemia. En el año 2021 nos centramos en la salida de la misma, mientras que en esta edición nos vamos a centrar en el desarrollo vinculado a la cuarta revolución industrial. Pasada la pandemia, debemos convenir que la misma consolidó procesos que estaban en transición, como lo eran el teletrabajo o el e-learning. Hoy, el home office o estudiar y capacitarse desde cualquier parte del mundo por internet es una realidad. Asimismo, hubo un cambio de conciencia en la sociedad que impactó directamente en el trabajo. Muchas personas renunciaron a su trabajo presencial privilegiando su calidad de vida. Y esto originó un proceso migratorio en diversas partes del mundo. Otro debate abierto es el futuro del dinero y la real incidencia de los sistemas descentralizados y las criptomonedas, como así también la vigencia de los sistemas fiat. Lo cierto es que la arquitectura financiera internacional está viviendo un proceso de cambio y el contexto económico, ya muy complicado luego de la pandemia, se ve aún más difícil por la guerra de Rusia y Ucrania. Sin embargo, las áreas fundamentales del mundo 4.0, como lo pueden ser la automatización, el Big Data, el Internet de las Cosas, el blockchain, la inteligencia artificial o la impresión 3D, siguen su avance a paso firme. En este evento debatiremos sobre educación, industrias creativas, el derecho y las regulaciones globales del mundo 4.0, las soluciones tecnológicas, el marketing, la comunicación, la sociedad, los gobiernos 4.0 y tantos temas más. El tercer día, el evento se cerrará con el Open Day Mujer 4.0, un espacio dedicado completamente al empoderamiento femenino y sus perspectivas y potencial vinculados al mundo 4.0 y a la cuarta revolución industrial. Los idiomas oficiales del evento son el español, el portugués, el inglés y el francés. Para esta edición hemos invitado a grandes expertos internacionales quienes compartirán con nosotros sus ideas y su gran talento. Desde ya, nuestro respeto y admiración a cada uno de ellos. Antes de terminar, ensayaré algunos agradecimientos a personas e instituciones que hacen posible este Foro Mundial 4.0. En primer lugar, al señor expresidente de la República Dominicana, Dr. Leonel Fernández, quien es el presidente honorario de este evento y del Global South-South Institute of Digital Creative Industries. También agradecemos el apoyo incondicional del presidente mundial de FIAM, de la Federación Internacional de Asociaciones de Multimedia, el filósofo Hervé Fischer, como así también de la vicepresidente de FIAM, Edna dos Santos. Muchas gracias, Edna y Hervé, por vuestro apoyo. También agradecemos a los coordinadores del evento, quienes han hecho un trabajo impecable: Mani Jupretti de la India, Angel Buffard de Canadá, Gerardo Neugobsen desde Panamá y Marcelo Decut desde el Paraguay. A la Embajada de Canadá en Argentina y en Paraguay, muchísimas gracias por apoyar cada año nuestro evento mundial y especialmente en esta edición por su apoyo al Open Day Mujer 4.0. Sabemos muy bien que mientras nosotros estamos hablando del mundo 4.0, una gran parte de la población carece de las condiciones básicas para su existencia. Es el deber de cada uno de nosotros generar conciencia sobre el cuidado de nuestro planeta, sobre una sociedad más justa y fundamentalmente por una sociedad con oportunidades para todos. Y que las herramientas vinculadas a la cuarta revolución industrial, al mundo 4.0, sirvan a estos fines. Muito obrigado, merci beaucoup, thank you very much, muchas gracias.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. In the next few minutes, I'd like to explore the challenges to health communication in low-resource settings as the fourth industrial revolution unfolds. Healthcare delivered digitally at your home, surgeries performed remotely across the world, potential cures for HIV and cancer. As we cross the physical, digital, and biological boundaries to innovate at an ever-increasing speed, the fourth industrial revolution has the potential to transform health. So what are the challenges to health communication in the future? For that, let me invite your attention to this moment. We are in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. There have been 6.5 million recorded deaths across the world. Science delivered vaccines, medicines, and tests at an unprecedented speed. And yet, in the third year of the pandemic, over 75% of Africans have not been vaccinated. This pandemic saw unprecedented attacks on science, and this has impacted people's trust in health agencies across the world. Misinformation and disinformation, fueled by people with power and access to huge digital megaphones, reached billions of people at speeds which the scientists and public health experts simply could not match. I remember a communication officer reporting during the pandemic that their channels were overwhelmed by conspiracy theorists. And they wondered if anybody cared about science-based information anymore. The fact is that people still do care about science and seek information from trusted sources like WHO. But during this pandemic, there were moments when it was easy to feel overwhelmed by the hate and disinformation. This pandemic highlights a shift in how people consume health information and who they trust. This is transforming health communication today. In the past, journalists relied on experts for health information, and people got their news from prominent news sources which were trusted and valued for their credibility. A recent survey conducted in 25 countries revealed that in 2022, more than 50% of adults use social media as their source of news. We live in a world where our economies are creating unhealthy lifestyles. Instead of creating well-being, our economic models are destroying the planet, polluting our air, water, and food, and creating a host of mental health conditions. Policymakers and governance systems across the world seem to be unable to override the interests of powerful lobbies and lobbyists that are harming our planet and our health. These lobbies also wield influence over traditional media and social media. Today, independent news channels are fighting shrinking budgets to uphold journalistic standards. COVID-19 was the first pandemic since the explosion of social media. And without the filter of professional editors of the old days of news, rumors and disinformation spread so fast across social media platforms that WHO created a new category of study called the infodemic. Ladies and gentlemen, this moment in the COVID-19 pandemic gives us a snapshot of the communication challenges of the future. And these challenges are rooted in equity, ethics, and science literacy. Unless we address these underlying issues, we will repeat the mistakes we have just witnessed. The rich will get access to new innovations, the poor will be left out. We will see this especially amplified in low-resource settings. Mass protests against vaccines and masks highlighted the fact that even in well-resourced settings, our education systems have failed to create science literacy and critical thinking. This has left people vulnerable to rumors and disinformation. I witnessed an anti-mask protest outside the UN offices in Geneva at the height of the pandemic, and I could see that the protesters were passionate about not wearing a mask. Disinformation had reached them in a more impactful way than science-based information. Today's health communicator is fighting to grab people's shrinking attention spans. To communicate life-saving information, we find ourselves enslaved to the algorithm. Fear is easy to deliver in bite-sized packages. Creating a nuanced understanding of a complex, fast-evolving situation in less than 30 seconds, not so easy. This reinforced to me that scientists and public health experts must tell impactful stories in languages of the people we serve. on channels they access, and in formats they consume. As the fourth industrial revolution unfolds, remember, the innovations it brings will also be available to the highly motivated, ill-intentioned conspiracy theorist. We can counter this by building science literacy, by enabling the public to sift through the infodemic and identify trusted sources and evidence-based information. The fourth industrial revolution could communicate health information to the parent, to the teenager, the older person much more effectively and enable them to live healthier and happier lives. But first, we must address the issues of inequity and ethics in our world. Otherwise, we will end up with an even more fractured world where technology serves only those who have access and resources.
A very good day to you. Perry Blind, United Nations, Guatemala. Very grateful to be here today to tell you about our work on creative economy by the team. Thank you to the organizers for this third edition of the Global Forum on Sustainable Development and the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Thank you, Global South-South Institute of Digital Creative Industries, International Federation of Multimedia Associations, Social International University and Women International University, among others. All views are my own and do not represent those of the United Nations. I would like to tell you a little bit about Guatemala's achievements, about how we put the magical intersection of arts, sports, science, technology, and innovation to service of leaving no one behind here in Guatemala. As a general note, I'd like to start by saying that science and innovation and technology are nothing new to economic growth. In fact, they're not even confined to the global north. Before the Industrial Revolution, before the exploration of new lands, French Empire, Ottoman Empire, and several others, they put arts front and center. They used innovation to expand their influence, to increase their outreach, and to ramp up their power. Kings empowered poets, sultans reached out to painters, and palaces valued visual arts and musical creation. So in this sense, creative economy and economic growth and sustainable development are not only correlationally related, they are causationally interlinked. The 2030 Agenda takes note of that evidence. The endogenous causality between science and policy, between creativity and growth, and arts and economics, sports and peace. For example, the sectoral SDGs, let's take SDG 6 on water and sanitation, the design thinking. Let's take SDG 11 on sustainable cities and avant-garde city planning. Let's look at SDG 16 on peaceful civic engagement and innovative institutions, and SDG 17 on the role of data technology for leapfrog development. Arts, sports, data, technology, they connect, they empower, they give rise to new hopes, and they nourish dreams. Guatemala is well aware of this fact. In fact, several things happened last year, 2021, the year of creative economy, which permitted the Resident Coordination's Office here in the United Nations to take note of these facts and to launch the safe space of co-creation on creative economy and sustainable development. One was the launching of the National Registry of Artists by the Ministry of Culture and Sports here in Guatemala. It is a marvelous site. Please go check it out. It has lists of cultural legislations, creative industries, artists, artisans, craftsmanship. It is fantastic. Same time around last year, Antigua, this beautiful 16th century city, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, was chosen by one of the internationally renowned tourism magazines as the world's best destination to go to. At around the same time, another government entity here in Guatemala, the National Secretariat of Science and Technology, launched its series of discussions on orange economy. So therefore, United Nations had to step in. We put creative economy to the driver's seat of leaving no one behind. How did we do it? First, we invited different agencies, the ones that perhaps had not had the chance to come to the same table before to discuss creative economy, to come up with concrete products, which we called prototypes. We invited UNCTAD, the lead agency on creative economy. United Nations World Tourism Organization joined us, lead agency on sustainable tourism. UNESCO, the lead on new cultures and learning, was there with us, and UNEP, the environmental voice of the United Nations, had a seat at the table. UNFPA, IOM, UN Women, Inter-American Development Bank, and World Bank as IFIs also came to put equality, youth empowerment, gender equality, disability inclusion, the rights of indigenous groups to the table. The Guatemalan Ministry of Science and Technology and even the Guatemalan Stock Exchange participated in some of the discussions because financing and data are crucial in creative economy. 3 prototypes were created. Let me tell you a little bit about them. The first one, Guatemalan Database of Creative Economy, linking SDG 17.19 with SDG 10.2 to measure the role of arts and sciences in public policy and public administration towards reduction of socioeconomic inequality. So we asked with this prototype, what is the current contribution and what is the potential input of creative economy in Guatemala to the national priorities of development? Second prototype, the Guatemalan Craft Fair, to improve the indigenous entrepreneurs' access to markets through technology and digital platforms. We linked SDG 5.5 with SDG 10.7. We asked, can artisanal creativity of indigenous migrant women in the rural hinterlands of Guatemala be morphed into a digital powerhouse for fair trade, for inclusive commerce, and what about the entire country? Third prototype, ICT training for young Guatemalan entrepreneurs to link the tourism sector with creative access to formal employment markets. We linked SDG 8.6 with SDG 8.9. Half of the population in the world are below the age of 25, and yet only 2.6% of all of the parliamentarians worldwide are below the age of 30. The situation is not very different in Guatemala, so we asked, can we use the demographic bonus of Guatemala here to innovate and to allow young creative minds to join formal markets in the tourism sector in the post-pandemic era? Those are our 3 prototypes, which we created last year in 2021, the year of creative economy, with this limited set of agencies to then take it to the next level this year on the 27th of June, when we presented the 3 prototypes to all relevant government institutions and entities to resculpt and to reshape them so that they can better answer the real needs, the current necessities of the country. Our next step next year will be to move towards co-operationalization, where we're going to invite the government, the agencies, and members of the international development community and the private sector to still accelerate and improve the prototypes and to make them operational. Cultural creativity, multilingualism, sports, science, and policy to empower the furthest left behind. The orange power of intersectional empowerment for the acceleration of the implementation of Cartoon 2032, hand in hand with the 2030 Agenda and the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework. Because creative economy and inclusive economic growth, they are not correlationally related. They might very well be causationally related as well. Thank you.
My name is Edna dos Santos Duisenberg. I am one of the vice presidents of FIAN, the International Federation of Multimedia Association. And I worked for the United Nations for 30 years, where I set up the Creative Economy Program of UNCTAD. At present, I act as at the International Advisory Council of the Creative Industries Policy and Evidence Center in London. I'm very glad to support and share insights in this 2022 edition of the World Forum 4.0. I congratulate my dear friend, Emile Solomon from FIAN, the Global Institute for Digital Creative Industries, and the Fonglode team for organizing this event, which promotes knowledge and help us to understand the present in order to shape a better future. Many topical issues will be addressed during this forum, but in the central forum, I would like to draw your attention to the growing importance of inclusion, diversity, openness, tolerance for our society. Cooperation is vital in our interconnected and interdependent world, and we have to accept and respect each other. So I would like to present a short video that summarizes my views on these topics. And I invite you to reflect on this matter that really concern all of us. So I thank you for your attention and wish you a fruitful forum, and ask you to please show my video, Inclusion and Diversity. Thank you.
Inclusion and diversity. Our civilization is multiracial, multilinguistic, and multicultural. Individuals belong to different groups, even if the feeling of attachment is not always evident. The pandemic has exacerbated inequality and exclusion in many countries. Gaps between social classes became wider and urban poverty increased. Many people excluded from labor and social protection schemes had to be inserted into the public system for benefiting from emergency aid and health services. Important to recall that socioeconomic inclusion is a civil right indispensable for human dignity. Unemployment is likely to remain high even during the recovery. Informality has been a palliative, but not a lasting solution. Inclusion and cultural diversity might be the response. It's crucial to integrate grassroots cultural practices and informal creative work into mainstream policies. Creativity results from ideas, collaboration, co-creations, and collective experiences. Let us build upon the contribution made by creative workers, not only to business, science, and innovation, but also to popular culture, culinary, art crafts, and street art. If we want to advance towards a more inclusive and diverse society, education and more opportunities for social mobility should be offered. Investors and enterprises have been called to adopt new social criteria to support inclusion, diversity, gender, and sustainability. Regrettably, in these difficult times, polarization has been aggravated in all fronts. Let us engage in dialogue, perceive nuances in cultural identities, and respect different viewpoints and political opinion, even if we don't agree. Let us give voice and hear the other while preparing the ground for a more equitable and open society. Change starts with each of us and can only be impactful if everyone takes part in the process.
Estoy en un lugar simbólico hoy, que es el Cabo de Buena Esperanza, en África del Sur. Es un lugar donde es un lugar de meditación, con toda la historia de los viajes, de los desafíos de esta gente que en el pasado intentaron de irse alrededor del mundo. Es un cabo de meditación. Entonces, es un buen lugar para hablar de los desafíos de hoy. Estamos en un mundo de crisis, en un mundo volátil. No sabemos cómo van a terminar la guerra de Ucrania, la crisis psicológica y varias otras problemáticas que encontramos. La idea de la FIAM siempre fue de ser un facilitador. Fuimos muchísimas veces en China, fuimos en Medio Oriente, fuimos en lugares que hoy tienen un nuevo poder político, militar, y son actores de un nuevo mundo que es, como se dice, con muchos actores. Es una nueva situación. Y hay que tener en cuenta que los actores tienen tensiones, tienen proyectos diferentes. ¿Cómo podemos navegar en este océano tan difícil? Hay tempestas hoy. Y la idea de la FIAM fue de ayudar con la herramienta digital. Ahora vemos que esta herramienta digital se desarrolló muchísimo. No estamos más en los inicios de la FIAM, en el inicio del siglo. Ahora lo digital, el mundo es digital. Y la FIAM intenta ayudar a la economía creativa, ayudar para desarrollar conexiones entre varios actores de pequeñas empresas de las nuevas generaciones. Y para las nuevas generaciones este mundo es muy difícil, muy peligroso. El futuro es más y más, digamos, podemos estar pesimistas. No es mi postura. La FIAM siempre fue optimista, creando que hay que cambiar el mundo. Es la idea una utopía, pero ¿cómo podemos navegar sin utopía para navegar alrededor del mundo? Fue siempre la aventura humana un desafío. Y los desafíos fueron difíciles, pero al final sí estamos aquí continuando. Entonces, mi intervención en este encuentro, gracias a Emilio Salomón, pienso que tenemos que seguir con un compromiso ético, digital, global, ecológico y con la idea de tanto sufrimiento inaceptable en el planeta. Estamos en una condición nueva que es una condición planetaria. El concepto de condición planetaria para mí me parece fundamental. No estamos en una valle, en un pueblo, estamos con una conciencia aumentada de la globalización. La globalización es un desafío difícil, pero también es un progreso porque estamos con la información de todo lo que ocurre en tiempo real al nivel del planeta. Es a nivel antropológico, es totalmente inédito. Esta nueva situación nos obliga a desarrollar nuestra ética planetaria, un concepto muy importante para mí, que no podemos aceptar conocer todo el sufrimiento que ocurre en el planeta sin un compromiso colectivo para facilitar la situación de las poblaciones vulnerables. Y en Argentina tenemos una historia de sufrimiento tan particular que hoy es como un símbolo del planeta mismo. Entonces, un compromiso optimista, digital, ecológico del planeta y en tiempo real con la urgencia. Estamos en una situación de urgencia. Es lo que deseo subrayar hoy en este cabo de buena esperanza. Gracias por escucharme.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this is Lord Ranger sending you his best wishes on the World Forum 4. Thanks to President Dr. Leonel Fernandez for conceptualizing World Forum 4 that connect the world of South America to the rest of the world. I'm sure it will strengthen bond between Britain, South America, and rest of the world. It is my first time to address the World Forum, but I have been following the work of President Fernandez for some time and know he is a brilliant academic mind who is very active in the United Nations, especially in the area that concerns the development of countries. The first industrial revolution used water and steam power to mechanize production. The second used electric power to create mass production. The third used electronics and information technology and automated product. Now the fourth industrial revolution is building on the third, the digital revolution that has been occurring since the middle of the last century. It is characterized by fusion technology that is blurring the lines between the physics, digital, and biological spheres. The fourth industrial revolution is a fusion of advances in artificial intelligence, robotics, and internet, things to come, genetic engineering, quantum computing, and more. This fourth revolution aims to change our world as we know it today. And I think the people like Dr. Fernandez are the forefront of this amazing development. So we have to work together and cooperate together for the benefit of the mankind as a whole. So as a British peer, I'll be happy to assist as much as I can because of my friend, Mr. Manish Uputre, who is very keen that this forum goes from strength to strength. And I'm always here to help. So I wish you every success in your endeavors, which brings great deal of benefit to the world. God bless you all.
Hello, I'm Shane Patrick Connolly, chairman of the Santa Clara County Republican Party, the Republican Party of the Silicon Valley. I'm honored to have been invited by the organizers of the World Forum 4.0 conference to present you with a political insider's view from the Silicon Valley. As Abraham Lincoln, the first Republican president of the United States, once said, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." And that's what's happening right here in Silicon Valley. Every day, people from throughout the region, a region which now goes beyond the 2 million people in Santa Clara County to encompass a 9-county area that includes over 7 million people. And they're working to create the future. Whether we're talking about the future of transportation, the future of energy, of data, medical devices, virtual reality, the future of the Internet of Things, of big data, Web 3.0, and blockchain technology. It's all being created here. Now, these creative forces don't happen in a vacuum. It's not mere chance that they happen here more than anywhere else on the planet. They happen within an ecosystem. It exists within a superstructure of free market capitalism, but it's not just capitalism. Of course, a lot of countries have capitalism, but the United States and California, for most of its history, have had 5 other key pillars. A relatively efficient and light regulatory structure, strong property rights, and efficient impartial courts to enforce them. Decentralized power structures, a commitment to constitutionally guaranteed rights, the right to freedom of speech, freedom to gather, free press to hold those in power to account and keep them honest. Domestic peace, stability and safety, or the rule of law. Now, the Silicon Valley also has its unique challenges, maybe not unique to some of you in big cities throughout the world, but we have incredibly high housing costs, high utility costs, we have energy reliability challenges, and a generally high cost of living. Now, these are challenges that can be managed with innovation, with investment, and better policy. Now, on the upside, investment into the Silicon Valley remains strong for now. More than 20% of all angel investment in the United States, or $1.2 billion, flowed into the Silicon Valley and San Francisco in 2021, and the region had 9% of all initial public offerings, or IPOs, or $12.6 billion. Now, while these numbers remain encouraging, these numbers are from the joint venture Silicon Valley, the region has been losing net population due partly to the factors I mentioned around high costs, but also due to higher crime and other social ills. Now, these could spell trouble down the road. Since we've had unified democratic control in our state capital and in Washington, D.C., that means things are getting done, but if we're looking back to those 5 essential pillars of a successful United States, each one is being eroded by usually well-intended but severely misguided policy decisions. Now, I'll first address the regulatory environment. The regulatory environment in the United States and in California has grown much worse since the legislative and executive branches came under unified democratic control. Their zeal for regulation only grew stronger under their emergency powers adopted to fight the COVID pandemic. Now, here in California, in the past 3 years, an assembly bill was passed, Assembly Bill 5, and it directly interferes in the relationships that independent workers have with their customers. In an effort to punish big gig economy companies like DoorDash, Lyft, and Uber, platforms for individuals to earn money at their own convenience, the state outlawed dozens of types of independent jobs. Those of truck drivers, independent journalists, hairstylists, and many others who want to set their own work times, work hours, and conditions of work. It forces these independent workers to become employees. A law that was passed in this session of the state legislature establishes a new unelected board to dictate the pay and conditions of both employment and training at all large fast food chain restaurants in California. Now, on a national level, the Biden administration has, at the worst possible time, reversed many of the cuts to regulation that the prior administration had implemented. And they're busily writing and implementing even more regulations, like requiring lengthy permitting processes for critical energy and infrastructure projects. And this is just after signing a $1 trillion infrastructure investment package. We will get less for our money, and it will take longer. In the US, it can take 5 to 10 years to permit some of these projects already, while in other developed nations, these approvals take a mere 1 to 3 years. So those regulations are a huge burden on business, just as they are facing rapidly rising costs of labor and materials that get passed on to consumers in higher prices and the unprecedented inflation we're seeing. They impair our ability to remain energy independent and also hamper our ability to help our allies in Europe as they're cut off from Russia's gas supply. In contrast, when the Senate and presidency were controlled by Republicans, the government cut more regulations than they implemented, resulting in a freer, more resilient economy. Now, a return to Republican leadership in 2022 and 2024 could put us back on a good path. Property rights and court enforcement. Property rights in California, and particularly in the Silicon Valley, are being impaired by new laws like just cause eviction restrictions on the owners of properties available for rent or lease, measures to give government first dibs when it comes to selling property, government control of increases in rental rates, and attempts by government to commandeer luxury hotel rooms to house the unhoused, regardless of whether they are stable and mentally well. Now, as for our courts, California was suffering from a lack of personnel to get timely resolution of civil cases, and that was before the pandemic. The pandemic caused a massive backlog of as many as 1.4 million criminal and civil cases throughout the state. The courts are still working through these backlogs. Now, justice delayed can be justice denied, especially when one party has deep pockets and the other party has limited resources and cannot afford to be tied up indefinitely in court. Every new law that restricts property rights results in a court challenge that contributes to the backlog, as do excessive regulatory actions of the legislature. Reversing this trend can help spur more economic activity and reduce the burdens on our court system. The increase in regulatory burdens dovetails with my overarching concern about the concentration of power in both the federal and state governments and in large corporations. Injections of excessive control and administrative hurdles into the marketplace hampers our economy's ability to be resilient in times of crisis, and the ability of us to innovate quickly to meet the challenges of our age, like the Earth's changing climate. Now, worse still, big government has been colluding with big technology firms and big media companies to dampen or silence the voices of critics and skeptics. And big technology and big green businesses have been using their power to benefit themselves by steering billions of dollars in federal government overspending to them and to their cronies. This crony capitalism is the democratic equivalent of Russian oligarchy. No, we won't regulate and legislate our way out of the climate crisis and other crises, but we will innovate and adapt if we maintain our economic flexibility and resiliency and don't allow these sclerotic policies to continue. To fix this problem, we must elect leaders willing to limit the power and scope of our wildly overspending federal government and end regulatory overreach at the state level. Our federal government in Washington cannot possibly make the best decisions for 335 million people across 50 diverse states. In the same way, government in Sacramento cannot make the best decisions for every business and every person in California, whether they're in a rural mountain area, desert area, whether they're from our agricultural zones in Fresno County or a dense urban area in San Francisco. No, one-size solutions don't fit all. We only figure out a way of crises also if we're allowed freedom, freedom of thought, freedom of conscience that flows from a culture of free speech. And that's where my fourth big concern lies. The erosion of our commitment as citizens of the United States to ideals of God-given, constitutionally protected freedoms like a free press, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, and by extension, the freedom to take risks and manage one's affairs and that of one's business without excessive interference by government, is a threat to our continued success and to the unifying fabric of our society. Our freedoms have been a hallmark of the United States. The risk-taking of an Elon Musk it has attracted, the bold exploration of space, the diligent iterating of a Thomas Edison, and the creative destruction that put a computer in nearly every American's hand. The creativity that flows from our freedoms has enabled unprecedented material success and technological advancement that's benefited people not just here in the Americas, but throughout the world. An erosion of our commitment to freedom, when combined with the dangers of the concentration of power, threatens the very foundations of Silicon Valley's success. Nowhere is this more evident than in the realm of the virtual public square. The social media space is controlled by a small handful of players, mostly based in and around the Silicon Valley. Now, as a Republican in the Silicon Valley, I can tell you that the views of the San Francisco Bay Area Democratic activists do not reflect the views of most of the country. Certainly not Republicans, but also not even most Democrats in many other parts of the country. Once activist employees gained a strong foothold in those few large social media companies, and with most major network news, television, and newspapers of record being in control of people who sympathize with the leftmost reaches of the coastal Democratic Party, they then exert their control to silence legitimate discussion of issues that have not been settled. Issues like the origins of the SARS-CoV-19 virus, the effectiveness of having small children wear masks at schools, or stories that would threaten the political power of their allies. Something we saw with the story about the laptop belonging to a certain son of a certain now American president. These laptop files contained evidence of crimes and influence peddling. Now, while these private sector companies have the freedom to limit their free speech, we now know that they've also colluded with federal government agencies to do so. And that is the subject of court battles, which could ultimately be taken up by the Supreme Court. Now, regardless of the outcome of those First Amendment cases, I'm optimistic that we can overcome the threats to freedom posed by public and private concentrations of power. First, other companies are making a competitive inroad into those monopolies. Companies like Rumble that just went public, Truth Social, Getter, and others. But the thing that holds the most promise of overcoming the concentration of power and the fact it's being used to silence discussion is innovation, Web3 or Web 3.0, the blockchain. In a way, it's a return to the democratized, decentralized networks of the early days of the internet, before a few key players were able to monetize access to others on the web, and we gave up our rights to our data in exchange for convenience, efficiency, and simplicity. Now, the blockchain has the potential to allow us to develop ways to recognize our inherent property right in our personal data and put that to work in a way that not only weakens the monopoly of control exerted by a few large players on the technology scene, and the monetary benefits that have accrued to those involved in these big players, or those lucky enough to be invested or have been acquired by the players at a good price. But if we value this property right and spread the dividends of the computer revolution to a broader audience, this helps make our society more fair and more agreeable. It may not be a new idea, but the technology is catching up to provide us with new ways to make this concept a reality and apply it to the way we get news. Final danger is the biggest of all, when taken together with real and perceived concentrations of wealth, power, and the limitations on traditional freedoms. That's our increasing political polarization and willingness to resort to political violence. I'll spend the most time on this topic because of its importance. Although underreported in the legacy news media, in the US, a teen boy was recently struck and killed by a vehicle driven by an adult man over 40 years of age, who, as an excuse, said he perceived the teen as a Republican extremist, which this young man was not. This happened shortly after President Biden made an official speech that demonized almost half the voters in the US as a so-called threat to democracy. Now, we've had other instances of political violence where the far-right activist ran down and killed a young woman with his vehicle in the midst of clashes between far-right protesters and counter-demonstrators in Charlottesville, Virginia. Of course, many of you saw the horrible images of so-called anti-fascist rioters in places like Portland or Seattle, where they took over whole sections of the city and burned buildings. We saw the riots, looting, arson, and deaths that happened in parallel to Black Lives Matter protests. And we saw the shocking images of the January 6th riot attempting to stop certification of a presidential election at the US Capitol. Our politicians must be willing to consistently and uniformly condemn any political violence in the United States, instead of playing politics with it, excusing behavior just because it's perpetrated by people who may hold similar views to ourselves. This conditional, equivocating approach to political violence has also been perceived or may have seeped into the enforcement and prosecution of laws. If we apply the law strictly to one group of rioters and handle another group of rioters gently, it shakes the very foundations of our legal system and calls into question the political impartiality of our prosecutors and courts. This sparks the likelihood of even more unrest and political violence. Now, even the violent late far-left revolutionary Ernesto Che Guevara, not a man known for his advocacy of peaceful coexistence, he stated, "Where a government has come into power through some form of popular vote, fraudulent or not, and maintains at least an appearance of constitutional legality, the guerrilla outbreak cannot be promoted, since the possibility of peaceful struggle has not yet been exhausted." Now, in the United States, Democrats on the left and Republicans on the right have been too cavalier in calling elections fraudulent. If people feel they cannot accomplish their goals through the exercise of their freedom of speech and through their vote, this will spark the likelihood of even more political violence. Unless we uphold these bedrock values, a culture of free speech, fair and secure elections free from decisive fraud, willingness to fight for what we believe is best politically through peaceful means, recognizing the basic humanity and rights of our political opponents, we risk a serious devolution into violence if we decide we cannot abide other opinion or live peaceably with disagreement. What's the answer to this? First, politicians who exercise some self-control over their rhetoric. Stop demonizing whole classes of our opponents. Second, voters refusing to vote for politicians who turn a blind eye to violence on one side of the political aisle while actively pursuing accountability from those on the other side. The more one side or the other normalizes political violence, like the Democrats did through 2020 with respect to violence from the political left, it's a guarantee that equal and opposite reactions will eventually result, and we've seen this ugliness. The other part of the solution, law enforcement and prosecutors who consistently apply the law, and a press that approaches these issues with an even hand, not as a force to stir division or side with a particular party. We need maximum toleration for peaceful protest and maximum sentences for those who cross the line into violence and destruction. And if prosecutors aren't applying the law evenly and consistently, or they're tolerating violence, all voters of goodwill must put aside their differences and vote that person out. We saw this happen in San Francisco, a largely Democratic city, where they and Republicans and large numbers of voters of color voted out their district attorney. He had let violence and disorder take hold, and he refused to hold criminals to account. And now they have a new prosecutor who takes these things seriously. All of this fits with a general decline in law and order in our major cities throughout the United States. Some of the breakdown a result of bad policy. California and other jurisdictions passed laws that lowered the penalties for many crimes. Criminals took it as an opportunity to push their lawbreaking beyond the point the public would tolerate. We must reinstate firm punishments for violent crimes and crimes that erode our quality of life, and incentivize criminals to change their ways. Some of the breakdown in law and order is due to a surge in anti-police sentiment. In some jurisdictions where far-left Democrats led calls to defund the police, and they did, they saw violent crime spike upward. Now, the answer to this is to continue to fund the police, of course, while ensuring bad police officers are held to account, something on which Americans broadly agree, whether Republican or Democrat. Some of this is a result of police becoming less willing to aggressively enforce the law, since they feel they're under extra scrutiny and would face an unsympathetic public if something bad happened during an arrest. And this is due to the actions of a handful of bad police officers, together with sensational media coverage. But if we have transparent, fair systems of accountability, and if media takes responsibility for more circumspect reporting on incidents of police violence, good police officers can feel confident in doing their jobs to the fullest of their ability. Finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the breakdown of law and order at our southern border. The United States is seeing record numbers of people pour into the country across our southern border. The Biden administration's policies have encouraged mass illegal entry into the U.S., with people from over 100 countries coming through, not just elsewhere in the Americas. It is empowering traffickers of people, and criminal cartels are pouring deadly fentanyl into the USA. In the last year alone, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol made contact with over 2 million migrants, and an estimated 900,000 likely entered without that contact. Some estimates put the total numbers entering between asylum seekers and those who snuck in at about 4 million, which would be the equivalent of quadrupling the population of America's 10th largest city, San Jose, in 1 year's time. We would go from 1 million to 5 million people if all those folks came to one place. It's obvious to any sane person that it's simply unsustainable. We're really setting up the migrants for a treacherous, possibly deadly journey to the U.S. and for the disappointment of being rejected by our asylum system. Because only 11% of all asylum seekers are actually determined to be eligible under U.S. law. Once they're determined ineligible, they would be returned to their home country under normal circumstances. But if they're not returned, and President Biden has said he has no interest in returning many of these folks, they wouldn't be able to legally work here. This leaves them at the mercy of the underground economy, and parts of that, like the drug trade and prostitution, are controlled by violent international gangs. This lack of a sensible approach to having a controlled legal immigration process just contributes to the sense of lawlessness that pervades the United States at the moment. We need a U.S. president who will put a halt to the chaos on the border and reverse course on his destructive open border plan. Now, innovators in technology like you know that crisis can create opportunity in the same way it can create policy breakthrough. I see a fresh opportunity for both Republicans and Democrats to work together to craft a framework for a more orderly immigration system, one that creates safe pathways for more limited numbers of people to seek citizenship. It encourages people to apply for asylum at a U.S. embassy or consulate in their home countries, not by coming here just to get deported when their asylum request is denied. We need a system that rewards those who play by the rules and recognizes that our worker needs and the way people work have both changed. And our political leaders must be willing to talk with our neighbors throughout the Americas to create a broader, more sensible, seamless labor market. A labor market that allows highly skilled knowledge workers who work remotely to work throughout the Americas, perhaps in places where the cost of living is lower and their dollars would be welcome aid to economic development. Other types of skills are needed to fill openings for specific lengths of time with renewal options, after which they could return to their home countries with additional resources. An orderly system of cross-border work opportunity and settings could prove to be a win-win for both the USA and developing countries. It would also be a perfect opportunity for government to partner with Silicon Valley innovators to create the right mechanism for processing and tracking cross-border workers to ensure legal compliance. The pendulum had swung way too far in the direction of crime and chaos. I'm confident it's now beginning to swing back toward the center, and this creates these opportunities for new policy breakthroughs. In conclusion, as the old saying goes, it's always darkest before the dawn. And I have faith that with a return to our fundamental roots as a nation of decentralized power, one of freedom and opportunity, that regulates efficiently, respects property rights, that universally rejects political violence and chooses to live peaceably with our differences, one that recognizes the importance of the rule of law, we can restore the luster of the golden lamp that has drawn so many from diverse places throughout the globe to enrich the colorful melting pot that is the United States of America, and to help us be ever increasingly and innovatively a force for good in the Americas and the world. Thank you for listening.
Excellencies, ladies, gentlemen, and dear friends, warm greetings from New Delhi, India. It is great pleasure to interact with you through the World Forum. During my association with the National Research and Development Corporation, I have interacted with Asia, Africa, and Europe quite a lot. I am glad that the World Forum gave me a wonderful opportunity to interact with South America. I must congratulate President Leonel Fernandez and the team of World Forum for this amazing initiative that is acting like a bridge which connects the world with South America and vice versa. Not to mention, it also covers a very important theme of our times, namely the fourth industrial revolution. Friends, the world is on the brink of a new all-encompassing revolution moving at exponential speed. We are witnessing the emergence of innovative technological trends such as artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, robotics, 3D printing, nanotechnology, and others with applications as diverse as the technologies themselves. The basic principles of Industry 4.0 are based on automation, flexibility, and interoperability. The sensors, cognitive systems, networks, communications, computation, storage, applications, and competitive business models are used to achieve these goals at a competitive cost. At the end of the day, the consumer wants a high efficiency product with a great feel and utility at a competitive cost. In simple words, Industry 4.0 is basically defined as smart, connected, digital, and physical technologies to drive business operations. These technologies have tremendous potential of industrial growth. The emergence of technologies based on Industry 4.0 principles helps in real-time communications between machine-machine over and above man-machine interactions. The complex products can be designed in a design lab, keeping in mind the optimum usage, and can be communicated to machine directly for its production. In this environment, the workers, management, and machine work in predefined cyber-physical environment. The fourth industrial revolution, Industry 4.0, was triggered by the high-tech innovations which brought the cyber-physical systems together. that is smart machines capable of exchanging real-time information over the industrial Internet of Things for decision-making process. Industry 4.0 is the ambit of various modern technologies like cloud computing, IoT, artificial intelligence, big data science, 3D printing, 5G drones, communications, etc. All leveraged for the ability to enhance the productivity in the manufacturing processes. The impact of the technological revolution on economies and society is not preordained and can be shaped by policies at the local, national, and global levels. In order to optimally leverage the fourth industrial revolution for our collective progress and prosperity, we need governance frameworks, protocols, and policy systems that ensure inclusive and adequate benefits. Most importantly, we need to embrace the fact that technological evolutions exist in a social context and not just as a business case. In order to achieve this, we need to design normative and regulatory approaches to ensure that it is human-led and human-centered. Now I shall discuss technological interventions that will play a crucial role in the fourth industrial revolution. As part of Industry 4.0, the AI-defined robots in IoT are more flexible and can make decisions apart being machine and doing repetitive work. Now collaborative robots, that is cobots, are making on-the-spot decisions based on AI to make a product of high utility and flexibility and efficient in a factory environment. Augmented reality technology is a step ahead of the popular virtual reality technique, which combines the real world and the digital world to enhance its virtual world applicability. With tools like Google Glass, the information is overlaid on the user's field of view to allow him to gain more insight about the object they are looking at, like technical parameters, tolerance limits, etc. In the Industry 4.0 revolution, various cyber physical systems operate together and make corrective decisions on their own as to enhance productivity. A timely alert for human intervention is generated informing the predicted cause and likely maintenance required so as to ensure an uninterrupted machine availability. The logic of distributed processing for regular tasks with a centralized decision making using an analytics framework is extensively utilized here. The smart sensor information emanating from the cyber physical systems is processed on the cloud servers. In the cloud servers, the AI analytics comprising mathematical models run predictive algorithm to improve productivity and assists in guiding the process of manufacturing. The implementation of Industry 4.0 requires not only a horizontal factory to factory integration, but a vertical integration to connect the hierarchies of a production line. Overall, the intelligence of smart factory is achieved with the convergence of technologies or information processing as part of a digital ecosystem. Now it shall be very selfish on my part not to discuss and share the Indian perspective and achievements that are also acting as an inspiration for many other developing countries of the global south. In 2018, the World Economic Forum set up its Center for Fourth Industrial Revolution in India to work in collaboration with Government of India, the National Institute of Transforming India, Niti Aayog, as the designated nodal agency to interact with the World Economic Forum for elaborating the new policy frameworks for emerging technologies. The Government of India has already made the enabling policy framework and set up incentives for infrastructure development on public-private partnership model. Samarth Udyog Bharat 4.0, smart advanced manufacturing and rapid transformation hubs under the Department of Heavy Industries, Ministry of Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises is the India's initiative to push for Industry 4.0 implementation with and aim to propagate technological solutions to Indian manufacturing units by 2025 through steps like awareness programs, trainings, demo centers, etc. The Government of India initiatives such as Startup India and the Atal Innovation Mission and the emphasis on Together for All development all for all by embracing technological evolution within this philosophy for broad-based development will be a key driver of inclusive growth and progress. With one of the youngest labor forces in the world, a sizable technical aptitude, the second largest number of internet users on mobile device, and the second largest English-speaking population, India is well positioned to enhance its global leadership in a post-fourth industrial revolution era. We see a huge change in our traditional practices of production due to the application of emerging Industry 4.0 technologies, which allows large improvements in business, productivity, quality, and customer support that is otherwise difficult to achieve in traditional practices. It creates a level playing environment across industries of all sizes and types. Recent developments in select areas indicate that the benefits from such transformation will exceed the benefits that India has witnessed through decades of committed and sustained revolution in the fields of communication and highway infrastructure. The government regulations and policies have the potential to push the need for digital transformation through Industry 4.0. Attractive tax practices and incentives can drive people and industries to collectively achieve the objectives of the Make in India initiatives. Certain regulatory improvements in form of mandates like FASTag, GST, and other initiatives have contributed to the required momentum in this direction. As the Industry 4.0 promotes a continuous data flow across stakeholders, it results in increased planning and operational efficiency. To achieve these objectives, the ruralization, distributed living approach of creating regional manufacturing hubs can lead to geographically dispersed production houses. Rural manufacturing generates a long-term, cost-effective and competitive local market. The current era of urbanization, concentrated living is comparable to that of a mainframe. It has served its purpose and was relevant in the past, and it's best to leave it there. Ruralization is the way forward for the sustainable economy, development, and lifestyle. Embracing Industry 4.0 is a bold first step and crucial enabler in achieving Make in India objectives. So to conclude and sum it up all, I would say the advent of the fourth industrial revolution can help India leapfrog traditionally phases of development and accelerate its transition to a developed nation. Deploying these technologies optimally and strategically can create a potent mix of resources and infrastructure that can yield better quality, more sustainable growth. With more than 50% of its population under the age of 27, India's role is also going to be pivotal in shaping the global fourth industrial revolution agenda in a responsible, scalable, and inclusive manner. In addition to the above, many scientists, researchers have actively started working on Industry 5.0, which works on the principles of human co-working with AI-enabled robots. This works on the principle of mass personalization of products. In addition to the above, industries have started thinking about Industry 6.0, which focuses on providing virtualized anti-fragile manufacturing and services. At the end, I would like to thank the organizers, especially Mr. Mani Supriti, for giving me this opportunity to express my views in this August forum. Thank you once again.
Muy buenas tardes, mi nombre es Mariano de Miguel, soy presidente del Banco de Inversión y Comercio Exterior de la Argentina. Muy agradecido de participar de este tan distinguido foro sobre una temática y una problemática tan importante como es la de las industrias 4.0 y la cuarta revolución industrial, y sobre todo de la relación de esta cuarta revolución industrial con la problemática mucho más acusada y aguda para países como la Argentina, que todavía no han podido completar su transición hacia el desarrollo, que es la del desarrollo económico, ¿no? Un desarrollo económico que a su vez tiene distintos mandatos en distintas naciones y en distintos pueblos. Para decirlo de alguna manera, la maximización de la función de desarrollo está sujeta a distintas restricciones en función de los distintos países. En la Argentina esas restricciones son bienvenidas desde el punto de vista inclusive social y político, es decir, tiene que ser un desarrollo que se realice en democracia, con integración, con una progresividad distributiva a partir de cuestiones que nos identifican y que nos distinguen, y que de alguna manera hacen que esa transición hacia el desarrollo primero deba tener como pilar, como base, un crecimiento económico sostenido que se hace no en el vacío, sino que se hace en un contexto regional y mundial, donde justamente esta revolución 4.0 en materia industrial impone oportunidades y también desafíos. Así que mi idea es, en un breve periodo de tiempo, transmitirles, contarles 2 o 3 reflexiones fundamentales sobre este tema tan importante que nos junta, que nos convoca, pero relacionarlo después específicamente con algunos de esos aspectos singulares que identifican a la región y en particular a un país como la Argentina. Una primera reflexión que a mí me gustaría hacer sobre la materia es entender que esta revolución 4.0 en materia industrial, que hablamos de cuarta obviamente porque tenemos la transición desde la primera pasando por la segunda hasta esta cuarta en un periodo de tiempo que va, por así decirlo, desde el último cuarto del siglo XVIII hasta la actualidad, estamos hablando de revoluciones que existen, que caracterizan y que de alguna manera distinguen al capitalismo en su fase industrial, ¿no? Es decir, si uno lo mira desde el punto de vista histórico, el capitalismo se remonta ya más lejos, probablemente al siglo XII, al siglo XIII, en su faceta más que nada comercial y financiera, pero el capitalismo industrial, es decir, el que tiene eje en la fábrica y que de alguna manera tiene como su primera y máxima expresión el capitalismo con eje en el Reino Unido, donde se da, si se quiere, el epicentro de la primera revolución industrial, de la primera y de la segunda revolución industrial, evidentemente tiene características que han trascendido a lo largo de las distintas revoluciones. Es decir, una primera reflexión que yo quisiera transmitir, o idea que quisiera transmitirles a ustedes para que eventualmente la consideren, es que esta revolución, esta cuarta, supone cambios muy profundos, pero que al mismo tiempo operan sobre algunas constantes de un capitalismo mercantil que tiene, si se quiere, a la industria, la sigue teniendo a la industria como epicentro de su desarrollo, y que, desde mi punto de vista, se caracteriza por una clave, que es la disputa, en el sentido positivo del término, el conflicto internacional pasa por donde se agrega el valor. Es decir, si hay algo que caracteriza, desde mi punto de vista, al capitalismo industrial, al capitalismo en general, pero al capitalismo industrial en particular, es justamente un conflicto internacional sobre dónde se agrega el valor. Entonces, la constante de dónde se agrega el valor y el desafío de agregar valor como premisa, como condición necesaria económica para un desarrollo que trascienda lo económico, sigue vigente. Para mí es justamente una constante. En todo caso, y ahí arranco una segunda reflexión, es cómo las distintas revoluciones industriales, pero no solo industriales, que transforman los modos de producción y que transforman las fuerzas productivas, imponen desafíos a los países, ya sea o bien para liderar ese proceso y en consecuencia ocupar lugares, eslabones en la división internacional del trabajo que les permitan desarrollarse, o bien quedar retrasados frente a eso y ocupar un rol más periférico. La Argentina, por caso, si uno mira su historia económica, de alguna manera uno lo que puede decir o lo que puede ver, y sobre todo si esto lo analiza en función de esta cuarta revolución industrial, que desde lo que a mí me permite ver, tiene una impronta muy, muy fuerte desde el 2011 en adelante, los pasos de la Argentina han sido más bien mediocres, o tendiendo a malos en algunos aspectos, o muy desparejos. Si uno mira la economía argentina, lo que va a encontrar es probablemente una estructura que puede dividirse en tres, desde el punto de vista de los actores y fundamentalmente de las empresas que trabajan de cara a esta cuarta revolución industrial. Un porcentaje, una crema, que alguna vez los han denominado los cóndores, que son un conjunto de empresas en Argentina que están de alguna manera, si no en la frontera, casi en la frontera tecnológica, y que la cuarta revolución industrial no solo no la miran de lejos, sino que la miran de cerca y la tienen internalizada en términos de sus procesos. Ahora, esa crema de empresas de la Argentina probablemente no supere el 5, el 4, el 5, el 6% de las empresas y de los sectores del país. Después hay, por así decirlo, un 40, 45% restante, que no es que esté lejos de las tecnologías, pero que probablemente use tecnologías que no son propias, de tecnologías y procesos y procedimientos que no son propias de la industria 4.0, quizás de un segundo o tercer orden, y que tienen la vocación, en un porcentaje no menor de esta segunda franja, de llegar a esa frontera, de subirse a caballo de esa frontera, y de alguna manera ser como agentes de la transición hacia la cuarta revolución industrial, y por ende ayudar al país a que esta cuarta revolución industrial no lo deje fuera de esta batalla por donde se agrega el valor. En esa segunda franja, cuando uno mira las encuestas diversas y la evidencia empírica de por qué razón esta segunda franja, si bien no está lejos, le cuesta acceder y todavía no tiene internalizada esta cuarta revolución industrial, en general aparecen 2 o 3 variables claves. Una es la del financiamiento. Por eso, desde el lado que a mí me toca, como presidente del Banco de Inversión y Comercio Exterior, una de las vocaciones que tenemos es justamente atender como core de negocio todo lo que tiene que ver con la inversión y con el comercio exterior, pero sobre todo cuando se trata de procedimientos que permiten innovar, que permiten incorporar conocimiento, que permiten que esa innovación y ese conocimiento se difunda en un buen porcentaje del aparato y del tejido productivo, contribuir a la incorporación de tecnologías que justamente a las empresas que nosotros asistimos les permitan estar a la altura de las circunstancias, es decir, les permitan llevar adelante sus negocios, no fuera, sino a caballo de esa cuarta revolución industrial. Justamente porque entendemos y sabemos que el financiamiento es uno de los escollos, si se quiere, más importantes. No el único, porque después, por supuesto, hay otros escollos que tienen que ver con la calificación de la mano de obra, con las capacidades de los hombres y de las mujeres que en definitiva componen ese entramado productivo, con la disponibilidad en términos de conectividad, con la capacidad en definitiva para que una revolución que es tan transversal desde el punto de vista económico pueda ser completamente internalizada. Y después hay una tercera franja, que yo diría es del orden del 50% de la economía argentina, que verdaderamente está muy lejos de esa cuarta revolución industrial. Es decir, una segunda reflexión, pero que ya la voy ligando con una tercera, es, primera reflexión, gran disputa es dónde se agrega el valor constante de la dinámica capitalista, desde su inicio industrial allá en el último cuarto del siglo XVIII hasta el presente. Dentro de esa constante, la dificultad de las naciones que tienen que hacer su transición al desarrollo para que las distintas revoluciones productivas en general e industriales en particular no los dejen afuera. Y cómo se sube a la curva 1 o cómo aprovecha cuando aparece una nueva revolución para hacer, si se quiere, usufructo de los principales activos y dejar de lado los pasivos, ¿no? Entonces, en ese desafío y teniendo en cuenta las debilidades, si se quiere, de la economía argentina, lo que hay que tener presente es que economías como la Argentina, y yo diría que quizás esto es una característica de la región, nos enfrentamos a una cuarta revolución industrial con estructuras productivas muy desequilibradas en términos de porcentajes relativamente bajos de sectores y empresas con capacidades de surfear positivamente esa cuarta revolución industrial, y con franjas porcentualmente muy importantes que operan en términos bastante retrasados desde ese punto de vista, con lo cual, y ahí viene la tercera reflexión, es decir, hay una demanda muy grande de orientación, yo diría, en términos de Estado, y cuando digo Estado incluyo dentro de esos estados los bancos de desarrollo como el BICE, para ayudar a estos sectores y estas empresas a que hagan propia esa revolución y puedan ponerse a tono. Dentro de esta tercera gran reflexión, y para ya ir de alguna manera cerrando la reflexión general, o la ponencia general, siempre sintética y breve, una mención sobre el rol de los bancos de desarrollo en materia de inversión, de crecimiento, de desarrollo, y dentro de desarrollo el rol de cómo se ayuda a surfear estas nuevas revoluciones, internalizarlas y no quedar afuera de las mismas. Para tener idea de algunos números, hay cerca de 500 bancos públicos de desarrollo en el mundo, de distinto nivel, ¿no? Supranacionales, nacionales, subnacionales, incluso de de índole municipal, que explican un porcentaje que no es menor, algo así como el 10% de las inversiones globales están explicadas por estos 500 bancos de desarrollo. Si uno mira ese porcentaje y mira el vaso medio vacío, dice, bueno, no mueven el amperímetro cuantitativamente hablando los bancos de desarrollo a las inversiones, cierto. Pero si uno mira el vaso medio lleno, lo que va a encontrar es que ese 10% lo que marca es que los bancos de desarrollo tienen la capacidad, quizás no cuantitativa, pero sí cualitativa de orientar el proceso de inversión en un sentido u otro. Y cuando ese rol uno lo analiza concretamente en países que tienen un grado de subdesarrollo importante, como es el caso de la Argentina, la potencia de estos bancos, si son bien administrados, si son bien utilizados, si se los entiende de una manera diferente un banco privado que tiene como razonablemente principal, no digo único, pero sí principal por lejos objetivo la rentabilidad, y entiende que nuestros bancos tienen que ser públicos de desarrollo, los que son públicos de desarrollo tienen que ser eficientes, tienen que ser de alguna manera, tienen que operar productivamente, pero no pueden tener la rentabilidad como criterio único, exclusivo, ni principal, sino que tienen que evidentemente asistir a orientar la inversión. Lo que justamente puedo entender es que son herramientas fundamentales para una política gubernamental de crecimiento, pero mucho más que de crecimiento, porque el crecimiento de alguna manera es una condición necesaria, pero no suficiente del desarrollo. Lo que hace una condición necesaria y se transforma en suficiente es que ese crecimiento tenga determinada calidad, que permita que se difunda y se premie principalmente a algunos sectores que son justamente los que lideran el proceso de agregación de valor dentro de una determinada revolución industrial. Por ende, como cuarta y última reflexión, a mí me parece que es muy importante que entendamos que no hay que caer en falsas dicotomías, como por ejemplo, si el Estado tiene que jugar un rol o no, en términos de orientación económica a los efectos de posibilitar que los distintos actores y sectores se incorporen y puedan surfear exitosamente la cuarta revolución industrial, sino a asimilar que en todos los casos exitosos en general hay una sinergia entre el sector privado y el sector público, y que concretamente el Estado lo que tiene que hacer con las herramientas que maneja, concretamente por ejemplo las financieras, es ayudar a que, en el caso argentino por ejemplo, esos porcentajes tan altos de sectores y empresas que están relativamente lejos de la frontera tecnológica que exige la cuarta revolución industrial, puedan acercarse. Con un mensaje positivo que es el que me gustaría dejar y con el cual me gustaría cerrar. Es decir, el aspecto negativo es esa descripción estructural que yo decía sobre la Argentina, ¿no? Esta relativa lejanía de sectores y empresas de la frontera tecnológica que caracteriza la cuarta revolución industrial. El aspecto que me parece positivo es que evidentemente en las anteriores revoluciones industriales, y sobre todo en aquellas que han transcurrido durante la vida económica, social y política de la Argentina, cuando nos hemos quedado lejos, cuando uno pierde el tren, de alguna manera, la dificultad de acercarse es creciente, ¿no? Si uno mira, por ejemplo, la Argentina, la posición que ocupaba a comienzos del siglo pasado, y la que terminó ocupando sobre el fin del siglo pasado, incluso de este, ve que evidentemente ha pagado muy caro ciertos retrasos en materia de desarrollo. Pero el aspecto positivo es que cuando se produce una nueva revolución industrial, si el país, la nación de la que se trate, tiene capacidades similares e idealmente justamente las que exige esa revolución industrial, evidentemente la capacidad de hacer un catch-up es mucho mayor. Y en esto el rasgo positivo que me parece para nuestros países, y en especial en la Argentina, es que a pesar de todo el deterioro que hemos podido tener desde mediados de los 70 en adelante, todavía hay una materia gris que se expresa en la producción y la agregación de valor de varios sectores que justamente compone un activo fundamental de esta cuarta revolución industrial. Es decir, Argentina debiera apostar a que esa materia gris que caracteriza, o que es uno de los pilares de la cuarta revolución industrial, ese conocimiento, ese desarrollo tecnológico absolutamente difundido, estos entornos ciberfísicos que están interconectados en tiempo real, esta gran cantidad de tecnologías convergentes que caracterizan a la cuarta revolución industrial, en definitiva tienen como componente central una materia gris que todavía en la Argentina se produce en buena escala. Se produce en buena escala en la enseñanza primaria, se produce en buena escala en la enseñanza secundaria, y se produce en muy buena escala en la enseñanza terciaria y universitaria, más allá obviamente de las distancias que estas instancias de educación y de formación tienen con respecto a lo que puede ser la primera línea internacional. ¿Qué quiero decir con esto? Si Argentina alinea muy bien las herramientas públicas que dispone en materia, por ejemplo, de financiamiento, para potenciar no solo a la crema de esa estructura que yo describí, sino también a esas otras franjas que han quedado muy lejos. Sobre todo habida cuenta que las variables que en general explican ese retraso no son imposibles de saldar. Financiamiento, orientación, calificación de la mano de obra. A mí me parece que Argentina está frente a una oportunidad relativamente única de subirse a caballo de la cuarta revolución industrial en el momento que está transcurriendo. Es verdad que venimos retrasados desde el 11 para acá, pero todavía estamos a tiempo. Lo que no me cabe duda es que si no lo hacemos ahora, y esta conversación la tenemos dentro de 20 años, evidentemente la distancia, el retraso va a ser tan grande que vamos a necesitar esperar a la quinta para ver si esa quinta demanda aquellos activos que la Argentina o que la región tiene para subirse a ella. Así que me parece que bienvenido sea que nos ocupemos de un tema de tanta importancia y relieve. Países como Estados Unidos, como Alemania, lo tienen en el orden de prelación, en el top 3 de los temas más importantes de su agenda económica, esto de la revolución industrial 4.0. En la Argentina me parece que es un tema que se está tratando cada vez más, pero que evidentemente todavía no tiene, no goza de un consenso, de una aceptación y de una difusión que esté en línea con la importancia y el protagonismo del proceso a nivel mundial, con lo cual celebro que se haga este foro, celebro que se trate este tema, y celebro que tratemos de concientizar a los actores más importantes de la región y de nuestro país, y del mundo, digo, pero situados desde donde estamos, de que esto es un tren que está pasando, es un tren que va a gran velocidad, es un tren que va a transformar, y está transformando la mayoría de los procesos y de las formas de producción, de los bienes y servicios, que esto es una transformación que se da transversal, y que si bien tenemos un largo camino y trecho por recorrer, tenemos todavía algunos activos que en otros lugares faltan, que no se pueden construir de un año para otro, que en la región y en la Argentina en particular nos ha llevado décadas construirlo. Por suerte todavía los tenemos ahí de pie, y que si los sabemos utilizar vamos a poder, no digo ocupar un lugar de primer anillo mundial, pero evidentemente podríamos aspirar a que el crecimiento económico se transforme en desarrollo, y sobre todo que eso sea posible por la contribución de esta cuarta revolución industrial a resolver un viejo problema que tiene la Argentina, que todavía hoy lo sufrimos, que es la relativa escasez de dólares, en buena medida por no tener capacidad de venderle al mundo valor agregado y tener que comprarle al mundo mucho valor agregado. Es decir, esta cuarta revolución industrial sin duda va en buena medida a definir el modo en que se agrega valor. Estar a caballo de ella va a implicar poder agregar valor y venderle al mundo valor. No estar a caballo de ella va a significar seguir con ese retraso estructural, con ese subdesarrollo, que como siempre ya lo decía el desarrollismo, en buena medida supone no tener la capacidad de alguna manera de integrar la matriz productiva, de agregar valor y de integrarse en la división internacional del trabajo de un modo que la escasez de dólares no sea un problema como habitualmente lo es para la Argentina. Les mando un saludo, les mando un abrazo y agradezco infinitamente la posibilidad de participar en este foro.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and my distinguished fellow speakers, it is an honor to be part of the World Forum 4.0. The fourth industrial revolution, as we all know, refers to our current period of rapid technological growth, which is fundamentally changing the life and the way we live. By drawing on a multitude of advanced technologies, fourth industrial revolution blurs the lines between physical, digital, and biological worlds as it brings together technologies from artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, robotics, 3D printing, genetic engineering, quantum computing, and other areas to work together in one direction. The fourth industrial revolution, friends, is altering nearly all sectors of the economy, and in the process, it is altering our lives. Following the COVID pandemic, India has reported a huge surge in the usage of AI at 45% compared to US, UK, and Japan. The Indian ecosystem is confident enough to witness the quick penetration and adoption of Industry 4.0. The pandemic in India has been particularly disruptive. It accelerated further the growth of India's digital era with remarkable transitions to technology, industry, and society. We ourselves in India have been really surprised at the speed by which our economy and our lives has become digital, more so during and after the pandemic. It is predicted that Industry 4.0 technologies will help in the economic regeneration by 2025, enabling enterprises to revamp India's financial status in the post-COVID era, besides acting as game changers. The role of corporations through AI is going to be key for the comeback of Indian economy post-pandemic. New age technologies are set to give India a possibility to engrave itself a striking uniqueness as an international nucleus in the near future. With increasing use of AI functions for digital inclusion in India, it is expected to have a ripple impact on economic prosperity and growth. Analysts foresee that AI can help add nearly up to $500 billion and 200 million jobs approximately to the Indian economy by 2025. They further foresee that by 2035, this number can go up to $957 billion. The Indian government is also in the process of implementing a robust legal framework governing the data of the country, apart from constructing a data-driven society through AI that presents endless prospects to empower people, enhance society, and also boost the ease of doing business in our country. India, through its AI strategy, constituting an extensive pool of AI workforce and an emerging startup ecosystem, has a remarkable chance to be a prominent contributor to the AI-driven resolutions that can further transform agriculture, healthcare, manufacturing, education, and skilling, thereby impacting the economic growth of the country positively to a considerable extent. The adoption of AI in various sectors of the economy is seen to have produced favorable returns by lessening time and risk. In this background, the National Institute for Transforming India, popularly known as Niti Aayog, has decided to focus on 5 sectors that are envisioned to benefit the most from AI in solving society's needs. These are healthcare, agriculture, education, smart cities and infrastructure, and smart mobility and transportation. The Make in India initiative of the Government of India, encouraging new AI innovations through new startups in the field of agriculture, space, education, and healthcare, can take Indian economy to great new heights. Enhanced cooperation with other AI powers such as Germany, US, and UK can also further help us in India in designing new solutions and policies for the Indian economy. Friends, India, being one of the fastest growing economies in the world, has a significant stake in the AI revolution that has taken the world by storm. Recognizing AI's potential to transform economies and the need for India to strategize its approach to be a part of this change, the Government of India has taken the task of crafting a national strategy for artificial intelligence. Recently, the Ministry of Commerce and Industry in India has set up a task force on AI to kickstart the usage of AI for the country's economic shift. As the world's largest democracy and a country with one of the highest numbers of scientists and engineers, India is a key political, social, and economic player that will shape the course of the fourth industrial revolution. India has embarked on a massive digital transformation. Its ability to fully capitalize on the emerging technologies of the fourth industrial revolution will be one of the leading drivers of global prosperity and peace in coming decades. To ensure India's success in this capacity, the creation of a Center for Fourth Industrial Revolution in India was announced by the Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, on 23rd January in the year 2018, when he addressed the gathering of global leaders at the annual meeting of World Economic Forum in Davos. In May 2022, at the first ever Industry 4.0 Awards, announced by none other than the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, the Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, Government of India, Ms. Anupriya Patel, said that technology was the solution and the way forward. Industry 4.0 aims to increase productivity, efficiency, and also address sustainability and climate change issues. Indian industry has a major role to play in realizing Prime Minister Modi's grand vision of India at 2047 and can contribute to the economic development in a way that is both sustainable and inclusive. The only way, friends, the countries can go rapidly and create jobs in today's scenario is by adopting cutting-edge technologies and new age tools. That is, by adopting and adapting to the new technologies and moving ahead on the path of Industrial Revolution 4.0. Just as Japan is associated with quality of production, China with scale, Germany with precision engineering, and USA with innovation, India with the speed of its digital transformation across industry may very well be the leader in Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 is at an inflection point in Indian manufacturing, with more than 2/3 of Indian manufacturers embracing the digital transformation by 2025, thereby contributing to the goal of raising India's manufacturing GDP to 25% of the total GDP of the country. Germany, France, China, USA, etc., have created platforms for pre-competitive cooperation in Industry 4.0. These nations are looking towards automation and control as to replace the expensive manpower and attain lower costs of conversion, thus regain their share in manufacturing economy from emerging economies. Interestingly, friends, the focus of Indian program for Industry 4.0 is on using technology to make products for the global markets at competitive rates and to embrace Industrial Revolution 4.0 and the technologies with latest technological advancements. I will stop here now. Thank you very much.
Un cordial saludo, soy José Fernando Escobar, alcalde de la ciudad de Itagüí, Antioquia, Colombia. Hoy quiero mostrar una experiencia exitosa de nuestra ciudad en el marco del tercer Foro Mundial 4.0. Hoy pues queremos mostrar a esta ciudad, aquí vemos cómo uno de los entornos de nuestra ciudad se muestra como un entorno inteligente. Empezamos que hoy trabajamos la plataforma desde la creación de la Secretaría de las TIC. Todo está a través de código QR en el marco del Itagüí Inteligente Digital. Hablamos pues para la exposición a los diferentes países de todo el mundo. Estamos en Colombia. Colombia está constituido por 32 departamentos. Antioquia. En Antioquia tenemos un área metropolitana conformada por 10 municipios y dentro de ella está Itagüí, que está al sur de Medellín, que es la capital del departamento. Tenemos una superficie de 19.3 kilómetros, 290.000 habitantes. Tenemos un contexto también que somos la ciudad no capital que más empresas tiene. Tenemos 14.100 unidades productivas. Itagüí empezó por ahí en el año 1832 como una ciudad que empieza a recibir las industrias, las empresas, grandes empresas, la licorera, Cervecería Unión, Fábrica de Licores de Antioquia, los tejares, y desde eso se empieza a desarrollar un entorno urbanístico importante de empresas y alrededor de las empresas la vivienda. Y hoy somos una ciudad empresarial que se sigue desarrollando como tal. Aquí está el contexto donde dentro de esos 290.000 habitantes tenemos 32.000 estudiantes en 24 instituciones educativas, 35 sedes, tenemos 285 parques, 22 edificios públicos donde albergamos a casi 800 servidores públicos que atendemos a toda la comunidad, y dentro de ese desarrollo tenemos también unos centros importantes, el Centro Internacional del Mueble, la Vía de la Moda, el clúster de la construcción y la remodelación están ubicados dentro de ese tema empresarial en la ciudad de Itagüí, el área de desarrollo naranja y también todo este sector empresarial es generador de empleo, no solamente para Itagüí, sino para todo el Valle del Aburrá. Y por eso Itagüí le apunta no solamente a ser empresarial, sino que ahora con esta transformación en las industrias 4.0 tenemos unos temas importantes, más de 160 kilómetros de fibra óptica, una transformación importante, y para eso tenemos que contar también un poco de la historia. Me quiero detener contando lo que era Itagüí en el año 2009. Como alcalde de Itagüí en ese momento estaba un amigo que hoy es senador de la República y yo era el secretario de Infraestructura en el año 2012 que arranca un proceso de transformación. Pero antes de eso, en el año 2009, Itagüí era la ciudad más violenta, no solamente de Colombia, sino de toda Latinoamérica, con unos índices muy altos, y así lo registran pues las noticias de ese momento. Y hoy pasamos a ser la ciudad, la tercera ciudad más valorada en Colombia, gracias a una política continua, a un equipo trabajando en un proceso de transformación de ciudad, en seguridad, en infraestructura, en programas sociales. Y no nos quedamos ahí, seguimos con otros temas como el medio ambiente. Por eso nosotros le planteamos a la comunidad, cuando arranco yo, en el año 2019 postulo mi candidatura, pues presentamos 6 grandes componentes: una ciudad segura, una ciudad urbanísticamente sostenible, un tema de trabajo social, las empresas, que es el motor de nuestra ciudad, un tema también importante de todos los programas sociales, y por último una gobernanza, un equipo pudiendo desarrollar toda esta ciudad como una ciudad marco, una ciudad en diferentes entornos, empresarial, cultural, deportiva y de transformación urbanística. La gente que viene a nuestra ciudad dice, y que 10 años atrás no venían, dicen, ha tenido una gran transformación, ya no somos un municipio, somos realmente una ciudad. Y esto es gracias a todo un proceso de un desarrollo urbanístico que se ha venido dando durante el tiempo. Y para llegar a este Itagüí inteligente digital arrancamos con un proceso. El primero, el catastro municipal, tener todo un mapa cartográfico de las empresas y de los predios para poder recaudar los recursos. Estamos hablando que en ese momento el presupuesto de Itagüí, año 2012, estaba alrededor de los 180.000 millones de pesos. Hoy le acabo de presentar al Honorable Consejo Municipal un presupuesto por casi 700.000 millones de pesos, y es gracias a la eficiencia por parte nuestra, no solamente en el cobro de impuestos en industria, comercio y en predial. Todo el que se asienta en nuestra ciudad inmediatamente llega a una base de datos, y que lo trabajamos desde Hacienda, porque el recaudo es el que nos permite hacer una inversión importante en todos los procesos de desarrollo de nuestra ciudad. Por eso, entonces, arrancamos con unos procesos adicionales, y es el Itagüí Inteligente Digital, un proyecto que lo lanzamos en nuestro plan de desarrollo y que viene formándose en cámaras de seguridad, por decir algo, esos 6 componentes de nuestro plan de desarrollo. Recibimos una ciudad con 250 cámaras, hoy estamos llegando a las 350 y con un proyecto para ampliarlas hasta 650 cámaras. Cámaras LPR que están funcionando. Inmediatamente recibimos a través de nuestro call center, que también todo lo manejamos digital, recibimos la información de un vehículo en nuestra ciudad, lo metemos en el computador, inmediatamente nos aparece ese vehículo en la cámara LPR y podemos, a través de nuestra policía, nuestros agentes de tránsito que están conectados y articulados, ir a intervenir a ese vehículo por orden judicial o por robo o por cualquier cosa que esté sucediendo. Y esto es gracias a la tecnología en materia de seguridad. Eso lo estamos haciendo también en las instituciones educativas, alarmas comunitarias, y de la mano de eso tuvimos un proceso de transformación en estos 10 años. Itagüí era la ciudad más violenta, como lo contaba ahorita en una de las diapositivas, y se logró hacer todo un proceso de transformación en instituciones educativas, con programas sociales para ir volviendo a que sea una ciudad sostenible. De la mano de eso, entonces, vienen temas como la 64 kilómetros de cobertura en nuestro territorio, en lo que hoy nosotros somos autosostenibles en el tema digital. Es decir, no le estamos pagando a un proveedor para que nos traiga esos servicios públicos, sino que nosotros mismos los proveemos, y eso permite mejorar y optimizar los recursos para inversión social en nuestra ciudad. 8 zonas de internet masivas en el corregimiento, alrededor de las placas polideportivas, de los edificios públicos. Ya lanzamos el Itagüí Inteligente Digital con Wi-Fi gratis para la comunidad itagüiseña y para los que nos visitan, que lo único que tienen que hacer, acceder a la red y entrar un correo electrónico que ya queda registrado, y eso nos permite a nosotros tener ese cálculo de saber quiénes están accediendo a nuestras redes Wi-Fi. Más de 4.000 millones de pesos de ahorro tenemos en nuestra ciudad gracias a este esfuerzo que hemos hecho en todo el trabajo. Aquí hay temas como el consultorio virtual, la telemedicina, el sistema de emergencias médicas. A través de un call center recibimos la solicitud de la comunidad y vamos y los atendemos allá. Venimos trabajando también todo el tema de erradicación de cuentas. Hablábamos del tema de presupuesto. Hoy tenemos toda esa base de datos organizada y nos permite seguir fortaleciendo en Itagüí como un tema Itagüí inteligente y digital. Trabajamos también esto con 6 componentes. El primero son los paneles solares, que ya tenemos edificios públicos sostenibles también, autosostenibles en el tema energético. El programa Itagüí Recicla, otro tema importante, fortalecer en el medio ambiente a una ciudad, a una ecociudad inteligente. Seguimos pues trabajando con planeación y ordenamiento territorial. Estamos haciendo la revisión y ajuste del plan de ordenamiento hacia una visión de un territorio seguro, sostenible e inteligente. Esa es la apuesta en la revisión y ajuste del plan de ordenamiento territorial, que es el motor para saber qué es lo que se puede asentar en cada uno de los barrios, en cada uno de los sectores de nuestra ciudad. El monitoreo de cauces en las quebradas. Acabamos de pasar una crisis grande, o estamos todavía en ellas, en materia de gestión del riesgo. Primero fue la pandemia, la protesta social, y ahora es el tema de gestión del riesgo, del desbordamiento de quebradas. Tenemos unos temas en nuestro corregimiento con unas pendientes altas donde hemos tenido dificultades. Hemos tenido que declarar ya alrededor de 3 urgencias manifiestas, hacer una intervención más grande, y por eso montamos unos sistemas de monitoreo en las quebradas. Nuestra quebrada Doña María, que mueve más de 500 metros cúbicos por segundo. Es una quebrada que realmente es un río, pero lo venimos haciendo un análisis, y a los taludes en los diferentes sectores del corregimiento. De la mano de eso, también ambiental, los puntos de medición de calidad del aire, que lo tenemos en diferentes puntos en la ciudad, articulados con el área metropolitana. Y proyectos de parques lineales con acceso a internet. De la mano de eso hay proyectos también como el Encicla inteligente, articulado con los sistemas de transporte masivo en nuestra ciudad. Economía inteligente. Creamos la Dirección de Desarrollo Económico, como lo contaba en un principio. Eso nos permite fortalecer el relacionamiento con las empresas. El Valle del Aburrá y Medellín están hablando del Valle del Software, que aquí se están asentando grandes empresas. En Itagüí ya tenemos 7 call centers que generan más de 5.000 empleos, y eso es muy importante para nosotros. Y empresas que se vienen asentando y que con la tecnología que tenemos, pues ven la oportunidad de asentarse en este territorio en el tema del 4.0. De la mano de eso hay empresas de contenido, tema robótico, la generación de empleo es muy importante, la energía renovable. Todo esto de la mano de ese primer tema que es la economía inteligente. Así nos pasa con personas inteligentes, programas como Itagüí Me Cuida. Nosotros accedimos en materia de pandemia a una plataforma donde acompañamos a la gente. Nos queda la base de datos y acompañamos y sabemos cuáles son las necesidades de cada una de las comunidades. Todos los programas sociales, el tema virtual en la educación, lo que decía ahorita, las estaciones de bicicleta en cicla, la carpeta al ciudadano. Aquí atendemos desde la administración a la comunidad y le llevamos una carpeta del ciudadano a cada usuario que se presenta a nuestra ciudad. Vía inteligente, oferta descentralizada al corregimiento, apps para atender mejoramientos de vivienda, diferentes dependencias, son 21 en nuestra administración y muchas de ellas tienen la aplicación en la página web, en la app, para poder atender los requerimientos de la comunidad. La agenda virtual, en la Feria de las Oportunidades, nosotros determinamos nuestro plan de gobierno Itagüí Ciudad de Oportunidades, la generación de empleo y todo el acompañamiento. La gobernanza inteligente, que lo contaba el tema de cámaras, semáforos y todo lo que estamos desarrollando en nuestra ciudad. Aquí lo mostramos, esa movilidad inteligente que venimos haciendo en nuestra ciudad, la ola verde y tantos desarrollos tecnológicos para tener una mejor movilidad de la mano del sistema como Metroplus, Solobús, el Metro de Medellín. Ahora vienen cables a nuestra ciudad, el programa de Encicla y Andenes. Eso es lo que estamos nosotros haciendo en una ciudad inteligente, ciudad de oportunidades. Personas, movilidad, economía, vía, entorno, gobernanza es lo que nos permite a nosotros generar esa transformación. La seguridad, los programas sociales, las obras de infraestructura, la transformación en nuestra ciudad nos permiten poder decir que Itagüí es una ciudad de oportunidades, es una ciudad inteligente y que le trabajamos con respeto, con amor y con cariño para servirle a esa comunidad y a ese Itagüí, ciudad resiliente, ciudad inteligente. Por último, como ustedes saben, el tiempo es corto para contar tantas cosas tan bonitas de nuestra ciudad. Quiero agradecerle a los organizadores del tercer Foro Mundial 4.0 y quiero invitarlos a que visiten nuestra ciudad, Itagüí, que en el marco de una ciudad inteligente también es turística. Tenemos muchas cosas para ofrecerles, para recibirlos con amor, con cariño. Gracias por escuchar nuestra presentación.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Yo soy Martín Burt de Paraguay. Muchos saludos a todas las personas que están participando en este foro. Yo soy un emprendedor social. He trabajado toda mi vida tratando de desarrollar nuevas metodologías para ayudar a la gente a salir adelante. Me he preocupado mucho acerca de la incapacidad del capitalismo de resolver exitosamente los efectos negativos de su genialidad. El capitalismo es la fuerza más increíble en la historia de la humanidad en cuanto a creación de riqueza e innovación. Sin embargo, ineludiblemente, siempre que hay una innovación, siempre que hay algo nuevo, hay grupos humanos que quedan rezagados porque se vuelven trabajos obsoletos y asimismo el capitalismo también crea, sin quererlo, problemas ambientales. Ya hoy no podemos suscribir a lo que decía Milton Friedman cuando él proponía que el único negocio de los negocios son los negocios. Cuando Milton Friedman famosamente proponía que the business of business is business. Esa época se acabó. Se acabó porque hay cambio climático, se acabó porque hay botellas de gaseosas muy famosas flotando en el océano que crean problemas para la pesca y para el medio ambiente increíbles. O sea, las empresas de gaseosa por utilizar ese ejemplo, no se pueden desprender de la contaminación que ellas directa o indirectamente crean, y tampoco podemos no tomar en cuenta los efectos sociales de la innovación y del crecimiento económico. Me refiero solamente al tema de las grandes migraciones. Si se va a modernizar la agricultura en África, si se va a modernizar la agricultura en América Latina, pues habrán grupos humanos relacionados con la pequeña agricultura familiar campesina tradicional que no van a poder competir, se van a mudar a los asentamientos y a las villas alrededor de las grandes capitales. En el caso de mi país, grandes movimientos migratorios que se van a Argentina, que se van a España, y un grupito pequeño que va también a Brasil y a Estados Unidos. Entonces, nosotros, si queremos preservar el capitalismo, tenemos que proponer un capitalismo que contemple todas las partes interesadas, lo que el Foro Económico Mundial propone, que es el stakeholder capitalism. Yo, en lo personal, propongo no poverty capitalism, es decir, capitalismo sin pobreza. ¿Y cómo nosotros podemos utilizar la cuarta revolución industrial para hacer eso? Desde la Fundación Paraguaya, organización que yo ayudé a crear hace 37 años, con un grupo de empresarios y profesionales paraguayos, estamos tratando de encontrar nuevas maneras de medir y combatir a la pobreza. Una característica de la cuarta revolución industrial es que no hay familia paraguaya o latinoamericana o africana que no tenga un teléfono inteligente, que no tenga WhatsApp, que no tenga Facebook. Eso es algo increíble. Eso lo hizo el capitalismo, no lo hicieron las políticas públicas. Es la innovación capitalista. Bueno, entonces, ¿qué podemos hacer con esta tecnología? Lo que nosotros estamos haciendo en el Paraguay es encontrar una nueva manera de medir la pobreza. Hoy en día seguimos con los viejos esquemas de las Naciones Unidas y del Banco Mundial, y que es básicamente crear índices. El índice de pobreza, el índice de desarrollo humano, el índice. ¿Por qué índice? Porque los tomadores de decisión necesitan la agregación de la data, la agregación de la información para hacer un ranking, para que ellos, los gobiernos, puedan distribuir los recursos escasos. ¿Qué pasa? Con la cuarta revolución industrial, ellos no son los únicos tomadores de decisión ahora. Antes los gobiernos eran los únicos que manejaban información y que eran los tomadores de decisión. Pero ¿qué pasa si nosotros ahora, que las amas de casa de todo el mundo tienen Facebook y WhatsApp, ¿por qué no le damos a ellos la posibilidad de medir su propia pobreza? Nosotros hemos desarrollado el semáforo de pobreza, que es una simple aplicación que con colores y con imágenes que permite a una familia en 20 minutos medir si está bien, verde, si está amarillo, más o menos pobre, y si rojo, muy pobre, y hacer un autodiagnóstico y posteriormente no hacer un índice, sino hacer un dashboard, un tablero de control, elaborado por la propia familia, donde la familia mide en qué está bien, en qué está mal y en qué está muy mal, para luego hacer un plan de desarrollo familiar. Recordarán ustedes que en la década del 60 todos los países del mundo, impulsados por Estados Unidos, desarrollaron sus planes nacionales de desarrollo. Posteriormente, en la década del 60-70, se desarrollaron planes estatales y regionales de desarrollo. Yo fui alcalde, intendente municipal de Asunción, desarrollé también el plan de desarrollo municipal de Asunción, el plan de desarrollo municipal de Asunción y su área metropolitana. Con la cuarta revolución industrial podemos hacer lo impensable, el plan familiar de desarrollo. Entonces la población de Paraguay no es de 7,5 millones de habitantes. La población de Paraguay es solamente 1.800.000 familias, los que comen y duermen debajo de un mismo techo. Hay familias tradicionales con papá, mamá y 2 hijos. En el Paraguay tenemos cientos de miles de familias dirigidas por una mamá sola, con hijos o con una abuela cuidándole a los nietos porque la mamá está de inmigrante en Buenos Aires. Imagínense, quiere decir de que si la tecnología permite reconstituir la unidad de medida, que es la familia, reconstituir el family household, como se diría en inglés, y en el mundo entonces hay 1.800 millones de familias. Fíjense, los Objetivos de Desarrollo Sostenible de la Nación Unida, ¿quién hizo eso? ¿Con qué criterio? ¿Para quién? Es para los gobiernos, porque Naciones Unidas es un organismo obsoleto que cree todavía en el nation state, pero la revolución industrial a los migrantes, el migrante que cruza de África a la isla de Lampedusa, ahí en el sur de Italia, cuando llega no pide agua. Cuando llega él dice, ¿cuál es la clave del Wi-Fi? Porque tiene que comunicarse con su primo en Berlín. Entonces, yo creo que nosotros tenemos que abrazar la cuarta revolución industrial. Por supuesto que tiene muchos problemas. Este asunto de los fake news, de las noticias falsas, de los perfiles falsos, la polarización estúpida que hay en nuestras sociedades, donde la gente se inventa verdades primero y después trata de justificarle la crisis que hay en América Latina, en Estados Unidos. Realmente parece esa historia bíblica de la Torre de Babel, que como castigo nos están haciendo hablar idiomas diferentes. Pero es una oportunidad para eliminar la pobreza. Nosotros con este enfoque del semáforo definimos que las familias pueden medir su propia pobreza, de que las familias pueden medir sus propios indicadores subjetivos, es decir, esta es humanización de la realidad, no solamente ingreso per cápita, acceso a agua potable, sino motivación, confianza en uno mismo, vivir en un mundo sin pobreza, sin violencia. Entonces, el semáforo de eliminación de pobreza, el Poverty Stoplight, incorpora elementos objetivos y subjetivos, individuales y colectivos, cosa que los organismos internacionales no tienen idea ni ganas de ocuparse, como si el ser humano puede ser reducido a $3 por persona por día en el hogar. Dios mío, qué terrible. De todas maneras, es una oportunidad que nosotros tenemos y podemos realmente empezar a visualizar que la pobreza es finita. La pobreza normalmente la hemos definido con miles y miles de grupos focales, focus groups, entrevistas en Sudáfrica, en Brasil, en India, en Singapur, en Toronto, Canadá. Básicamente son 6 dimensiones y 50 indicadores, pero podemos pensar en la eliminación de la pobreza, que significa sencillamente de que cada familia sea verde en todo. No hay ningún indicador aquí que sea de alcance imposible por cualquier familia en México, por cualquier familia en Marruecos, por cualquier familia en Portugal y por cualquier familia en Ucrania. Todos países donde estamos trabajando. Y nosotros, si la pobreza es finita, se puede eliminar. ¿Y por qué nosotros no vamos a poder eliminar la pobreza como se ha eliminado la poliomielitis infantil, como se ha podido eliminar la tuberculosis, la viruela? Entonces, el desafío de nuestra generación es la eliminación de la pobreza utilizando herramientas modernas, saliendo de nuestro esquema mental limitado que está todavía anclado en el pasado y construir una nueva realidad. Así que participar en este foro con ustedes, Me hubiese mucho gustado estar ahí. Estoy como precandidato a la presidencia de la República del Paraguay. Ha sido un poco loco. Muchas ilusiones de cómo poder modernizar nuestro país y hacer un país de realmente igualdad de oportunidades para todos, utilizando la tecnología. Nosotros en el Paraguay tenemos un sistema educativo absolutamente obsoleto, pero ojalá que con la nueva tecnología podemos bypassear, para utilizar una palabra que aquí le gusta mucho usar en Paraguay, al sistema actual y realmente llegar a las familias. O sea, la tecnología, esto tiene que servir para la revolución industrial tiene que servir para empoderar a las personas y a las familias, no a las estructuras corporativas solamente, no solamente a los gobiernos para que puedan vigilar a los ciudadanos, sino para crear gente libre que pueda cada uno a su manera florecer. Así que realmente feliz de poder compartir con ustedes. Pueden entrar en internet y ver semáforo de eliminación de pobreza. Pueden entrar también a internet a ver el Poverty Stoplight. Estamos trabajando en todos los continentes, no solamente en los países ricos. Estamos en 34 ciudades de Estados Unidos, 10 de Inglaterra. Estamos comenzando ahora en Canadá, en Portugal, en Europa del Este también. Y bueno, realmente uno empieza a ver que el emperador no tiene ropa, que el Banco Mundial y que las Naciones Unidas sostienen ciertas verdades que eran ciertas antes, pero que ahora ya no son tan ciertas, y de que nosotros podemos empezar a visualizar lo que está detrás de cada uno de los programas sociales y las oportunidades que se presentan para que todos podamos salir adelante con alegría, con entusiasmo, con fe. Así que muchas gracias a todos ustedes por esta oportunidad de compartir. A ver cuando vienen a visitarnos a Paraguay. Somos una isla rodeada de tierra, un país pobre, pero con gente muy contenta. Hace poco la encuesta Gallup le designó a Paraguay el país más feliz del mundo. Así que la verdad que a mal tiempo, buena cara nosotros aquí en el Paraguay. Y les mando muchos cariños y muchos saludos y quedo a las gratas órdenes de todos y de cada uno de ustedes. Adiós.
Distinguished guests, friends, it gives me great pleasure to address you today at the gathering on the 4th Industrial Revolution and Sri Lanka. We live in a rapidly changing world, so rapidly that yesterday's fancy gadget is today's garbage. As the world continues to be embraced by complex technology, we face a future of immense uncertainties and challenges, as well as scintillating opportunities. The world has been changing and evolving now for more than at any time before, and at a blinding pace. We have seen how new technologies, gadgets, and services are emerging at a breathtaking speed and impacting on life, from robots to autonomous cars, digital home appliances, and voice-activated homes, to 3D printing, to the digital economy, based on 5G and very soon 6G, and weapon systems, not forgetting distance learning and telemedicine, with a potential value of over $8 trillion United States dollars. Messaging has become so fast that it has made life a lot complex. Our lifestyles are changing. Living here in Beijing, as the ambassador of Sri Lanka, one realizes that China has emerged as a leader in these innovative changes. China possesses the widest 5G network in the world and is now embarking on smart city projects. China has designated Chongqing as the hub of its digitalization quest. I was in Dayang City, Sichuan recently and was amazed at the progress made by China. It is truly mind-boggling. We used to talk glibly about the universe. Now, with all this technology and artificial intelligence around us, we are now discussing metaverse. Many of us don't even comprehend the complexity of this concept. The China SCO Digital Economy Cooperation Exhibition Area in Chongqing last year, covering an area of about 10,000 square meters, demonstrated the amazing changes happening to the world that I grew up in. No one would have imagined the changes that have taken place during these years. As some countries embrace and rush ahead in technology, transforming Sri Lanka into a technology-based society is one of the key national policy objectives of the government. Furthermore, we see ourselves sitting in the middle of the Indian Ocean as the southern hub of the Maritime Silk Road and the Belt and Road Initiative, well positioned to connect the region digitally and to disseminate the benefits of digitalization. Sri Lanka will forge ahead with its digitalization and will look for partners from all over the world. We will learn and we will share. The fast evolving digital world could leave some behind unless we all take care to learn and adapt. This is an opportunity to cooperate for the betterment of humanity, not to compete and engage in mindless saber-rattling. The Sri Lanka government has identified the 21st century as the knowledge-centric century. In order to remain competitive globally, it is imperative that technology be integrated in every sector of the economy, in particular education, health, agriculture, industry, government, and the service sector. Sri Lanka wishes to be the regional innovation hub and will encourage global giants to operate from this beautiful land. In order to achieve this goal, Sri Lanka will maximize the use of the Internet of Things, IoT, artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, and 3D printing. The government plans to introduce smart classrooms throughout the country, and my embassy has been talking to major Chinese companies about this aspiration. Our industry will be encouraged to embrace technology and digitalization. Digitalization is the future. Citizen-centric digital government is a key aspect of the Sri Lanka government policy framework. The convenience of our citizens would be the foremost consideration in setting up a citizen-centric digital government. Through a digitally inclusive Sri Lanka, we envisage creating a countrywide high-speed optical transmission system and a high-speed 5G mobile broadband system to facilitate data transmission. Digital cities with digital monitoring and administrative centers will be established to address water and electricity usage, traffic congestion, and disaster situations, and the movement of high-speed trains. We will also introduce a mobile and digital payment system along with the necessary physical infrastructure and the legal provisions to handle all local and international financial transactions. A cross-border e-commerce and international e-payment system will be put in place to handle all international trade and financial transactions electronically, along with the required legal provisions. We have seen this happening in the US and in China, and we will emulate these leaders. All these will create new business opportunities, and businesses can prosper. We need to introduce new legislation to ensure data protection, cybersecurity, and intellectual property rights. All this will be based on a digitally savvy population. This is why the government plans to introduce the smart classroom concept to our schools. Of course, Sri Lanka is going through a difficult period financially, but these difficulties will not last. And as we emerge from our financial challenges, we will also head in the direction of digitalizing our country, our economy, and our daily lives. Sri Lanka will take steps to increase the number of software engineers and programmers to reach 300,000 by 2025. Maximum support will be given to local entrepreneurs to develop software for the international market. A high-tech university in collaboration with Chinese universities is being planned. I hope that this conference will serve as a catalytic platform for a vibrant exchange of ideas on the evolving digital economy. We need to adapt and adapt fast. The changes are happening too quickly. The developing world must not allow itself to be left behind, like on previous occasions of rapid change. In the past, every economic revolution left the developing world behind. Let us not let this happen again as we look into the eye of the fourth industrial revolution. It is a pity, sad indeed, that high-tech digitalization is not turning into another area for human cooperation. Cooperation will benefit humanity. Confrontation will only cause history to repeat itself and bring misery to many. I extend my best wishes to all the participants. I wish this conference a resounding success. Thank you. Shishye.
Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, greetings from India. I am Dileshwar Kamat, Member of Parliament, Lok Sabha, Supaul, Bihar, addressing from Patna, and I am very thankful to President Dr. Lionel Fernandez and the World Forum for giving me this wonderful opportunity to interact with you and share my perspective from India, a country of a billion plus people and also the world's largest democracy. We live in paradoxical time where we talk about the fourth industrial revolution while the world is slowly recovering from the coronavirus pandemic and is also affected in a drastic way because of the conflict in Ukraine. As the price of energy and food shoots up, the world stares at a big recession, and not only the developing countries but also the poor and underprivileged in the developed world are most vulnerable to it. This for any policymaker is a matter of grave concern. How shall we secure successfully affordability and the application of technologies for all in the fourth industrial revolution in our quest for development, progress, equality and equality? The standard policy prescriptions that one of the years are enhancing accessibility to technologies and infrastructure, making technology more affordable, developing future-proof skills, intensifying niche opportunities, introducing, enabling, and mitigating policies and regulations, and harnessing the potential of partnership. Friend, the new technology economic paradigm, which is the bedrock of the fourth industrial revolution, offers a window of opportunity for latecomer countries to leapfrog the new sectors and industries. But we also have to realize that most developing countries of the world have rural-based economy, including India. Mahatma Gandhi once said that India lives in its village. What was true at the time of independence holds true even today. Mahatma Gandhi once again said that India lives in a village. Over 70% of India's population is village-based, with growing urbanization and decreasing landholding, skill development, and the continual upgrading for our rural youth should be our priority area. There is no doubt that the fourth industrial revolution is disrupting established manufacturing practices and creating new challenges, but also opportunities for development. We have to make sure that our youth is trained and productive at the local, regional, national, and global levels. It matters because the youth is the future of any country. In India, the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana PMKVY 2015-16 was implemented by the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship through the National Skill Development Corporation, with the goal of reaching 2.4 million youths in the country. We do need relevant skills that have relevance for the evolving needs of the time, not to mention the fact that any successfully developing to gain benefits from the fourth industrial revolution requires a certain level of capabilities. Also, as the fourth industrial revolution uses in technologies such as artificial intelligence for the benefit of the humankind, we have to prioritize 4 areas: education, agriculture, healthcare, and small medium enterprises. We have to learn from the past so that we can have a better future. India's GDP is 1947 at today's price was less than the market cap of Unilever today. During the first and second industrial revolution, India was a British colony, underdeveloped and exploited. India did take part in the third industrial revolution, but the pace of change was very slow as our economy was coming out of the shackles of controls. Now a fourth industrial revolution is being on the third, but is unique in the Bhoko city, scopes and system impact. In August of this year, it was announced that the India will have its first third point printed post office soon, and also the 5G network will also be introduced. Technologies like the 5G, A1 blockchain and distributed lasers have a great potential to change the landscape, not only the global production and trade over the next few decades, but also governments and the effective delivery of services. In the last 8 years, the district benefits transfer initiative in India, which aims to transfer subsidies or financial assistance directly to eligible beneficiaries through their linked bank accounts, has served billions which were otherwise going to ineligible people. So what we are witnessing is that technology-led innovation will lead to long-term gains in efficiency and productivity. In addition, manufacturing, transportation, and communication costs will drop. Logistic and supply chains will become more effective, and all of these will open new markets and drive economic growth. Friends, recently I made a startup called Mini Minus from India that is focused on sustainable technology such as green recycling of nylon batteries, CO2 and green hydrogen. They are also leveraging automation and artificial intelligence to sustainably recycle battery, fresh and deliver important materials to manufacturers. Their ultimate business target area is to create a broad range of sustainable clean technologies in general and specialized recycling solutions in particular. For a variety of industrial sectors, including energy storage, pulp and paper, polymer, sugar, and mining. It is a worthy example of Make in India, but for the whole world, their overall goal is to contribute significantly to the cause of attending environmental goals and creating jobs at both the monetary and global levels. My dear friend, their very experience in a worthy example of the fourth industrial revolution, which is characterized by a fusion of technologies that are blurring the line between the physical, digital, and biological spheres. Friends, we cannot repeat the mistake which was made during the third industrial revolution. Time will not wait for a country which does not adopt new technology when required, and it will have a significant opportunity cost. As policymakers, we have to ensure that the technologies are user for first fighting poverty and inequality. Second, improving health care and human capital. Third, modernizing agriculture and agro-industries. Fourth, encouraging economic growth and structural transformation. Fifth, reinventing labor skills and production. 6. Fixing the labor skill mismatch. 7. Increasing financial services and investment. 8. Developing physical and digital infrastructure and enhancing agile governments for secure effective management of the fourth industrial revolution and integration into global value chains. I am very glad that a platform like the World Forum is giving an opportunity to the policymaker to engage and discuss with other stakeholders about how to make the fourth industrial revolution more people centric and human for the benefit and welfare of the humankind. Though separated by distance and long ways, I am confident that the World Forum will serve as a bridge to unite South America and India and further expand and enhance the interchange, collaboration, and cooperation between our peoples and institutions. Thank you.
Welcome to the World Forum delegates. My name is Honorable Emmanuel Kwesi Betura, Member of Parliament for Jueves constituency in Ghana, in the Volta region. I'm also a member of the ECOWAS Parliament in the sub-region. My topic for this forum is the fourth industrial revolution in Ghana, as we look at the prospect, the opportunities and challenges that we have for the learning staff. Dear delegates, we all know that fourth industrial revolution is one of the things that helps many countries to leapfrog into a new dimension of wealth creation. And we, in this part of the world, Africa, the sub-Saharan Africa, cannot be left behind. We have had our fair share in the fourth industrial revolution, which has to do with artificial intelligence, which has to do with 3D printing, which has to do with Internet of all things, and many other things that goes with the fourth industrial revolution. Many advanced countries have gone very far in this revolution. But those of us back here in the sub-Saharan Africa do not have the opportunity to match up with our counterparts in the industrial world. However, we have been able to chalk some successes in our various countries. In Ghana, the government has decided to build ICT community centers where school children can go and learn about computing, about information, about communication, and all about technology. This has helped somehow in propelling and getting students, young folks, to learn about ICT. However, that is not enough for us. The challenges that we have is that back in our rural areas, we do not have equipment like computers that our children can use to learn and to get themselves ready for the job market. Unlike in the advanced democracies, where children from kindergarten are introduced into computer, the uses of computer and information and technology, we do not have that luxury. It will surprise you that most schools, rural schools in our part of the world, some students have not even seen computers before. Most of our teachers who are teaching ICT will demonstrate these materials on the blackboard or on the classroom board. without the students experiencing firsthand what the whole computer is about. That's the first challenges that we have. The other challenges is where those who have acquired some knowledge in ICT do not have the equipment to work with, like laptops or even mobile phones, or do they have data to work with. Most telecommunication establishments, data is quite expensive from those establishments, making it difficult for people to acquire internet to work with. And last but not least, in our quest to get into the fourth industrial revolution has to do with teachers in the space. A lot of people who have some knowledge but do not have the in-depth knowledge into the ICT that we talk about. Yes, indeed, we have opportunities, enormous opportunities here in Africa. We have people who are willing to learn and people who are willing to put their hands into work. I'll give you a typical example of my own constituency where I introduce children from the age of 15 to adults at the age of 45, just to take them to what I call Tech Hub or Jueves Tech Hub training, where some of them were introduced to, not some, all of them were introduced to the ICT spectrum, digital designing or graphic designing. Some were introduced to website designing, some were introduced to app designing, and so on and so forth. And at the end of the 2 weeks boot camp, they came out, proud, and some are doing their own small work, especially graphic designing and website designing. This is what the opportunity abounds in our areas. If children or people are given the opportunity, they will be able to scale up and become useful citizens for our countries. I've also noticed that the opportunity is there because we have job opportunities, we have jobless young people, people who do not have any job or any opportunity to work anywhere, are around who can be trained. And as they are trained, we can outsource programs and projects to them, and they can be paid for some of these things that when they are trained in can create opportunity for them, job opportunities for them to work. And so indeed Africa has the greatest opportunity because out there in the advanced world where the fourth industrial revolution has gone very far, I believe that when we train up our unemployed youth and those who are willing to learn, we can take them from a joblessness into a place where they'll begin to work and have some salary or something for themselves. So I'm throwing it out to the World Forum that look out for Africa. Let's provide accessories. Let's make data accessible and cheap for our brothers and sisters who are unfortunate to have opportunities to work outside. Let us also look for opportunities here in Africa where we can train our trainers, especially teachers, to begin to understand the concept of this fourth industrial revolution, where you can do what we call 3D digital printing, where you can do the Internet of Things. You just program things outside and it works for you without you being there, where we can also create opportunity avenues to outsource some of the things that we do out there, just as India has leapfrog, where opportunities are given to Indians to design their own ICT system. And today, India exports products from their country. And some countries also outsource products to India to work on. This is what we are looking for in Africa. Not to be given the crumbs, but to be trained and prepared to take on programs and projects that you can outsource to us. So thank you, delegates, for giving the opportunity. We wish you all fruitful deliberation during this conference. Thank you.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, greetings from India. Just like the last year, I addressed this year's World Forum 4.0 from Kohima, Nagaland. But as you would agree, much has changed in our world. 2022 has been a very paradoxical year so far. While the world started slowly recovering from COVID at the start of the year, there is a great risk that it will slip into recession again because of the ongoing conflict in Central Asia and the looming threats over the Far East. Such scenarios usually bring their own set of great challenges that make us think out of the box to address them. We have to overcome adversities jointly and build opportunities to fulfill our commitments, promises, and responsibilities towards our peoples and our constituencies. Therefore, as policymakers, we have to see and ensure that the fourth industrial revolution brings along with it an equitable growth and development. We have to ensure that the rapid pace of automation and digitalization also matches up with securing the sustainable development goals across the continents and for all the countries. How the fourth industrial revolution benefits and empowers the last man standing should be our foremost concern. I recall reading a report about the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development some years back. It dealt with inequalities and the fourth industrial revolution. As a responsible policymaker, what caught my attention was the very specific mention about inequalities. It is a matter of grave concern when inequalities are generated by the existing institutional system. The fourth industrial revolution operates globally and distributes rewards on a global scale, rather than at the local or national level. A curious thing about the fourth industrial revolution is that it operates under the old rules of ownership while setting new rules of the game simultaneously. This characteristic has serious implications for the ownership, distribution, and jobs, especially for the developing countries. So for any policymaker, this necessitates an institutional transformation and creation of a new institution which will redefine, redistribute, and re-employ to meet our goals of equitable development and growth. Another key area, which is, in my opinion, of a very high priority and will play a very important role, is education. In the fourth industrial revolution, the highly educated will probably be at a particular advantage. So the main challenge for us will be how to make quality education extremely affordable and accessible to all. A term which is increasingly gaining currency these days is blended learning. Our students have to focus on innovation and creativity, which is the key to analytical thinking and complex problem solving. In addition, interpersonal skills and qualities such as being resilient and emotionally intelligent and to have empathy and respect towards others will be an important aspect of blended learning. So that while ensuring that our university graduates are suitably prepared to meet industry needs, we also have to focus on imparting our students what can be termed as global citizen skills. It will help our young generation to learn the nuances of how to work at a truly global level and adapt well to a future where workplaces will be more interconnected and employers will have more global peers. But how to achieve all this is a key question, as resources in our world are extremely limited, not to mention extraordinary income disparity and wealth inequality that exist in the world. We live in a world where 1 in 5 of the world's richest people live in emerging economies, side by side with billions of poor people. A study by Oxfam in 2017 noted that 8 men hold the same wealth as the poorest half of humanity. So how countries should move ahead to ensure that everyone gets an equal opportunity to participate in the Industrial Revolution and benefit from it is a key issue that demands a detailed discussion amongst the policymakers at a global level. We have to discuss, sort out, and establish modalities and mechanisms for the same. Will public-private participation be the way, and continued innovations and collaborations help lessen the cost of modern technologies? Will the governments work with businesses that can have a direct role in creating economic opportunity for millions of people by investing in education and training programs for existing and potential talents? Or a cross-national taxation could generate necessary global funds to drive the fourth industrial revolution with a special priority for the developing countries, I wonder. One way for cooperation can be that affordable and efficient technologies are shared with the world for the benefit and empowerment of our citizens. I'm sure many of the distinguished audience would have heard about India's digital initiatives like Unified Payments Interface and Open Network for Digital Commerce, which can immensely benefit our countries. These solutions have a great relevance both for the developed and developing countries, as they not only lower the cost of transaction, but also provide a very safe and extremely efficient option. Also, the Reserve Bank of India is in the process of implementing the central bank digital currency in a phased manner for the wholesale and retail segments in India. CBDC will be India's official digital currency and is likely to debut by early 2023. So in about a year, it will mirror any of the currently available private company-operated electronic wallets, but the CBDC will be a sovereign-backed digital currency. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thus you see how technology is helping us reimagine and revitalize our core sectors. I am confident that those of us who embrace the fourth industrial revolution technologies, such as digitalization, artificial intelligence, robotics, and additive manufacturing, etc., stand to boost performance, shape new business models, drive sustainable growth, and most importantly, empower our villages and communities. Early this year, I was approached by LCAP's Special Advisor, Mr. Manish Upetri, FRAS, who has been a diplomat before, regarding the University of California, Berkeley's Smart Village program in the state of Nagaland. As you know, UC Berkeley is not only America's, but also the world's leading academic institution. Its Smart Village program is a highly mature and scalable program that helps transforming people's lives at the village level through technology. Under the program, over 100 leading global firms help in the verticals such as healthcare, agriculture, entrepreneurship, etc., which are picked up by the chosen states for the pilot phase. Smart village programs, along with the state government, helps transfer all knowledge and guides it to scale up to all the villages across the state. Such programs have a great relevance for a state like Nagaland and also for other states in the northeastern part of India that have a very high literacy rate and a young population fluent in English language that looks for an avenue to connect with the world and realize their potential and harness the opportunities offered by globalization. We have seen how Korea's mastery of manufacturing and electronics, for example, moved it to the top levels of world income and other benefits that are concomitant with the process. So at a time when the fourth industrial revolution is greatly reshaping the global economy, I am very glad that a platform like the World Forum is playing an extremely important role to bring the stakeholders from across the globe together to share the perspectives and explore the ongoing transformation in detail. The credit for the same goes to President Leonel Fernandez and the team of World Forum. Thank you, President Fernandez. I am confident that our discussions will contribute towards developing equitable policies that have empathy towards the concerns of the developing countries. In summing it up, we have to ensure that technical and societal challenges, including lack of infrastructure, shortage of trained and skilled workforce, lack of self-organization and self-actualization, lack of collaboration between government and the civil society are properly addressed through suitable policy mechanisms and practical applications. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Excelencia, distinguidos delegados, señoras y señores, es para mí un placer participar en el Foro Mundial 4.0 bajo el tema del desarrollo sostenible en la cuarta revolución industrial. La UNCTAD se enorgullece de formar parte de este importante evento en el que se debate el futuro de la economía creativa. La economía creativa sigue siendo un sector fundamental para el desarrollo sostenible. A pesar de los importantes retos mundiales, como la actual crisis del coste de la vida, la frágil y desigual recuperación de la pandemia del COVID-19, la guerra en Ucrania, los persistentes retos medioambientales y el aumento de las brechas digitales. La economía creativa puede ayudar a diversificar la producción, crear una ventaja competitiva, atraer inversiones, apoyar el espíritu empresarial y de innovación y promover la diversidad cultural y el bienestar. De hecho, las industrias creativas contribuyen significativamente a la economía mundial. La UNCTAD estima que en 2020 los bienes creativos representaron el 3% del total de las exportaciones de mercancías y los servicios creativos el 21% del total de las exportaciones de servicios. Además, las industrias culturales y creativas proporcionan el 6.2% de todo el empleo mundial, especialmente para los jóvenes y las mujeres. Me complace anunciarles que la UNCTAD acaba de lanzar su informe Creative Economy Outlook 2022 en el marco de la Conferencia Mundial sobre la Economía Creativa, que se celebró en Bali, Indonesia, como evento paralelo al G20. El informe de la UNCTAD analiza, entre otras cosas, el futuro de la economía creativa, las tecnologías nuevas y emergentes como la impresión en 3D, la inteligencia artificial, la realidad virtual, el blockchain, la computación en la nube, los drones y el Internet de las cosas están cambiando fundamentalmente algunas industrias creativas. Además, la pandemia del COVID-19 aceleró la transición hacia la digitalización, el comercio electrónico y la transformación de la economía creativa. El informe de la UNCTAD analiza cómo los países pueden desarrollar y transformar sus industrias creativas para maximizar los beneficios desde la perspectiva del comercio y el desarrollo. Permítame mencionar aquí algunas de las recomendaciones del informe de la UNCTAD. En primer lugar, los sistemas educativos deben dotar a las personas de las competencias digitales y las habilidades empresariales adecuadas. La educación debe incluir a las mujeres, a las poblaciones de todas las edades y a las zonas rurales y urbanas. En segundo lugar, los países tienen que superar las barreras al desarrollo digital. La infraestructura física y las barreras normativas frenan el desarrollo de una economía creativa próspera y habilitada digitalmente. Por último, una economía creativa próspera necesita un entorno político propicio, desde los incentivos financieros hasta un régimen eficiente de derechos de autor. En la UNCTAD apoyamos a los países en desarrollo para que conozcan y comprendan mejor la economía creativa y su contribución al desarrollo sostenible y al comercio internacional. Ayudamos a los países a crear consenso y aumentar su capacidad en la implementación de políticas dirigidas a las industrias creativas. Con esto les deseamos una reunión fructífera y esperamos poder colaborar estrechamente con ustedes. Muchas gracias.